Yesterday's Reds loss was just a reminder of their offseason failure, one that set the tone for this season. Let's get into that right now on First Word.
Welcome to First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show, breaking down the biggest moments and the stories shaping Cincinnati sports with analysis that cuts through. First Word, setting the agenda in Cincinnati sports.
Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa, Contipelli, and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. And I'll be joined by Marisa and Jacob momentarily, but it is time to reflect on the 2026 Cincinnati Reds. No, the season still far from over, but yesterday's loss to the Phillies was a reminder of what could have been, and for my money, what should have been. Of course, this is also a reminder that it isn't my money. It was the Reds' money that they put up and that they offered Kyle Schwarber this offseason, and they didn't get it done. And in the third inning of yesterday's game, well, 3-0 pitch goes deep. Effectively ends the game for the Reds. They had a chance in the eighth. But the bottom line is Kyle Schwarber, well, that was a layup. It was a layup to bring back the kid from Middletown, bring him home to Cincinnati, to the team he was rooting for, and to give him a roster that could win. Elly De La Cruz, Chase Burns, Hunter Green. There would have been plenty of pieces that you could build around with Kyle Schwarber. And the interesting thing is, when I think about Schwarber and the Reds' pursuit of him and the Reds' failure of signing him, it goes back to what Gordon Wittenmyer wrote yesterday in the reservations that Schwarber had about the Reds franchise. He is the hometown kid. He is the guy that rooted for the Reds growing up. And so this should have been an easy sell. We have Hunter Green on a great deal. We have Elly De La Cruz, and we're going to keep him long term. We have all of these other pieces that are promising, from Chase Burns to Rhett Lauder, et cetera. And instead, after meeting with the Reds, after the Reds pitched him on the idea of signing with Cincinnati, well, there were still concerns, according to Gordon Wittenmyer of Cincinnati.com. Check out this quote that really gives the detail and sheds light on what things were for Schwarber's camp. Team sources said Schwarber questioned whether the Reds would have the resources to keep a competitive team on the field for the duration of his contract if so much of their payroll was tied up in him. And so I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it was a money thing. The Reds didn't offer enough. And yeah, that's true. The reported offer that the Reds made was a little less than the Phillies. But I don't think that was it. I think it was about winning. And when I look at Kyle Schwarber and his age and where he grew up and the team he rooted for, well, he's pretty much my generation. I'm 34. He's 33 years old. He remembers Ken Griffey Jr. coming home in 2000 and what that did on February 10th, 2000. It's the most exciting time, exciting day for me as a Reds fan, period, ever. And it wasn't about what happened on the field. It's what happened off of it. The kid came home. And when Ken Griffey Jr. came home, it was to fanfare. He was the hero. He was going to save and rejuvenate a Reds team, be the missing piece after the 99 team, my favorite Reds team of all time, won 96 games. Griffey was going to put them over the top. Well, what did they do after Ken Griffey Jr. took a pay cut to come home and forced his way to Cincinnati? Well, they didn't build around him. They didn't put the pieces around him. And so Kyle Schwarber was certainly reminded of that excitement. It took me back as I was thinking about Schwarber. I was thinking about Ken Griffey Jr. when he said this on February 10th, 2000.
Well, I'm finally home.
And it was all smiles when the kid came to Cincinnati, and then, well, it was almost instant. Injuries derailed what was an awesome career for Ken Griffey Jr. And that's it. Ken Griffey Jr. quickly became a villain, quickly became a guy that people blamed for the Red struggles, when in reality, yeah, he had his injuries, and he wasn't the guy he was in Seattle. He was still a good player. And I remember thinking back to, I was thinking like through this. In 2002, when the Spider-Man movie, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie came out, well, Ken Griffey Jr. took young Trey Griffey to see it in theater. And I remember reading in the Inquirer at the time that he got heckled. And that's it. Kyle Schwarber remembers that. He's 33 years old, remembers that. That was probably a fond memory of his, of Ken Griffey Jr. coming to Cincinnati. But if he was going to be that guy, if he was going to come to Cincinnati, if he was going to join his hometown team, he was going to do it with the idea of winning a World Series, with the possibility of being aggressive, of going after it. And the Reds, whatever they did convince him, they didn't convince him enough that they were all in on winning, that they would do what it takes to put the team around him. And during the Griffey era, they didn't do enough to put the team around Griffey. Schwarber saw that and wasn't convinced during the meetings. And that's why yesterday, when he returned to Great American Ballpark and hit this home run and gave the Phillies the lead for good, well, it was just a reminder of what could have been here in Cincinnati, a Kyle Schwarber, Elly De La Cruz combo, a much different era that could have started this offseason. Instead, Kyle Schwarber is hitting home runs for the Phillies at GABP.
And you can rest assured that it doesn't matter if it's 3-0 or 0-0. Schwarber is swinging if it's something he likes, and it is a 3-ball, no-strike count. Pitch from Abbott. Boom. It is 3-0. A home run into the bleachers in right field, and I mean, it was a rocket. No sooner did I get that out of my mouth, he was swinging 3-0, and he did. There are certain hitters that 3-0, you just don't give them anything to hit. And that pitch was...
Boom. That's it. And we had this planned long before he was going to hit that home run, and it's just a reminder, like, whatever the hang-up is, Kyle Schwarber's awesome, and it would have been awesome to see him playing for the Reds this season.
Yeah, and even more awesome than he's been so far this year, because as soon as he hit that home run, my thought process was, what does 31 home runs for Kyle Schwarber this year look like if he was playing for the Reds, if he was playing in GABP? Well, there's 9 more on there if he had played all those games in GABP this year. You overlay his batted balls with this stadium, and he's up near 40 home runs, depending on the flight of some of those balls, with the distances given. So his league lead takes even another step if he's playing in this Reds ballpark with this Reds team, and just thinking about how much it would change this organization and the feeling of this lineup if Schwarber was in it, and even taking it to another level with how poor Suarez has been so far this year, the swap of the signings of the offseason. Because it's no secret the Reds shifted their focus from Schwarber to Suarez when they missed out on Schwarber, and Suarez has underperformed while Schwarber's had one of the best seasons of his career, which just makes the miss even harder to stomach.
Yeah, you play the what-if game, and it would have been really nice and welcomed had he been in the middle of that lineup, providing that bat and that consistency. And MLB Network did a segment recently where they listed the most valuable players amongst major league teams, and they had Kyle Schwarber listed as 5th most valuable on that team for just the seasons he's having. So you look at what could have been for this Reds team, and it just makes you wonder where this team would be had they been a Kyle Schwarber away. Yeah,
and it's one of those things where, for all their flaws, and it wouldn't fix everything. Like, I got this on X yesterday. Like, oh, he wouldn't have fixed everything. Well, yeah, no doubt. Guess what? The Phillies aren't a perfect team either. Like, there aren't going to be – the Reds are never going to have a perfect roster. But a Kyle Schwarber, Elly De La Cruz, getting to see them every single day at GABP is a heck of a place to start. It is. You get the electricity of Elly De La Cruz, and then you get the power of a guy like Kyle Schwarber. You mix that in, you roll it together, and it gives you – a little leeway for a Matt McLain who underperforms, or for Eugenio Suarez. Maybe they still sign him in a perfect world and he hits 9 home runs through 62 games, and it's like, oh, he's underperforming. It's like, well, yeah, but you have Kyle Schwarber. Elly De La Cruz gets hurt for a bit. Well, you have Kyle Schwarber. It would have given them a margin for error that they just don't have right now. It would have given them a watchability factor that they just don't have right now. I bet a lot of you that just saw that home run and heard that radio call, guess what? Probably heard it from the first time, because you're not paying as much attention to the Reds as you were 2 months ago when it felt like they were going to be a playoff contender, because they aren't that right now. And Kyle Schwarber being in town, it's just a reminder of what could have been, and it stinks. The Phillies, by the way, started the season off really, really rough. And when you have talented players like Kyle Schwarber, it gives you the talent and the ability to dig or climb yourself out of a hole, which the Reds very much in a hole right now, 41-49 on the season.
And the quote flashed up there from Gordon Wittenmeyer's article yesterday, Kyle Schwarber's concerns that the Reds wouldn't have the resources to keep a competitive team around him for the duration of the contract if he signs for $30+ million a year. Those seems like completely valid concerns to me, and it poses the question, I guess, in my mind, did the Reds lose Kyle Schwarber this last offseason, or have they lost him over the last 25 years of not being able to consistently add to the roster and field a competitive team? I mean, James immediately went back to Ken Griffey Jr., which obviously makes sense for the hometown hero connection, but I immediately went back to Joey Votto. I mean, the best player in certainly the era I've seen for this Reds team. He was here on a massive contract, was here for a long time, should have won 2 MVPs, did win 1. And the Reds never really gave him a roster to compete. One of the best players in the history of the organization then retires, never winning a playoff series. And I imagine Kyle Schwarber sitting there with a similar contract in front of him is wondering, will the same thing happen to me in Cincinnati? I mean, everyone here thinks Joey Votto's a Hall of Famer. They think he should be, and his play with the Reds deserves a spot in Cooperstown. But the conversation outside of Cincinnati is incredibly different because of the lack of success he had in the postseason. And part of that is because of the Reds rosters they had around him. I imagine Schwarber was worried about how they turned on Ken Griffey, but also worried about what happened to Joey Votto at the end of his career, where he was chasing numbers, and that was all fun, and the fans certainly loved that, but there was never really a chance to win at the end of his career. And I'm sure Votto would have liked that, and certainly Schwarber prioritized that, and that's why he stayed in Philly.
Yeah, and the other big takeaway I had from that article, too, that kind of ties back to that is, everyone's saying they thought this was a done deal. So then my big question is, what changed? What happened? Because I would imagine those, if that is what it is, those concerns, and you know that kind of going into maybe some of those conversations, or did the conversations really shift in that tone to kind of make, the deal end up not happening? So that's the other part of it that I, kind of question and wonder is just, what really happened during those conversations, and we'll likely never know.
And the thing is that I've seen, and there are a lot of Reds fans out there, oh, he's happy in Philly. He's happy in Philly. Well, yeah, of course he's happy in Philly. And the difference is when you're trying to get someone, convince someone to join you, when they have leverage, and Schwarber has the leverage because he has options, then you really need to convince them, hey, this is what's going to happen, and here's why you should join us. And so if he's comfortable in Philly, but deep down wants to be a Red, and Bryce Harper's talking about it, and Elly De La Cruz thinks it's a done deal and all of those things, well, great. But Kyle Schwarber really needs to believe in your vision. And that's it. And I think that's what it came down to. I really don't think it was money. Maybe it was. And people are always going to default to that, and that's fine. All I know is and the reason I compare it to Ken Griffey Jr. is he took a significant pay cut to come to Cincinnati and sign that deal. And 2 years later, he was a villain in this town. And ridiculous. I'm not saying he was perfect at all, but he became a villain very, very quickly. And so if I'm Kyle Schwarber, and he's around my age, and so he remembers that, then guess what? I would want those reassurances, and I would want them to convince me, hey, we are going to build a winner. And I don't think it would have taken that much. Like, we didn't know Chase Burns was going to be this year, but he knew what Hunter Green was. He obviously knows what Elly De La Cruz is. And if Elly gets in there and says, hey, it's a done deal, well, get that across the finish line. If it's money, if it's reassurances that you're going to add around him and build around him, heck, if it's, hey, we're going to get Eugenio Suarez in here as well and have both of you, which is definitely how I think, regardless of how realistic it is in Reds land, that just seems like such a missed opportunity. In this season, that certainly feels like a lost one now. I just go back to, man, in November, when Joe Burrow's working his way back from a toe, and we're not really paying attention to the Reds. Had they done this, we'd probably be having a different conversation right now when it comes to this team and their record.
Yeah, there's been plenty of seasons over recent memory where Reds fans have been clamoring for more bats in the lineup, whether it's at the trade deadline or free agency.
Forever.
But there's never been a bat this good that made this much sense. And I think that's why it's so frustrating, is because it fell into their lap. The Reds needed a power bat. They needed a DH. They've had one of the worst DH spots in the league since it became a universal position. And Kyle Schwarber filled every single one of those needs, also adding the fact that he wants to be a Red, and all of his teammates in Philly thought it was done, and teammates or potential teammates in Cincinnati thought it was done. That's why I think it's so frustrating. It's not just the production. It's not just that he's still having a great season at his age now. It's that it was so easy, and it made so much sense to add him to this team, and they still didn't get it over the finish line.
Yep, that's it. We'll have more on that. That's our What's the Word poll question of the day. It involves Kyle Schwarber. But up next, everything you missed while you slept, right here on First Word. big of a challenge is that with the NIL rosters flipping like crazy? You mentioned the 7 new guys, just one getting guys in the building and going up against everybody else when it comes to the NIL side. And then when they get there, you got to get them familiar and comfortable, and not on the court, but off of it as well.
Yeah, we've tried to embrace just understanding that this is a one-shot deal every year, right? And you're just starting over. You hope you can retain some good guys. Your recruiting starts with trying to retain. But, this year we only have one starter back, so we're going to have essentially a brand new team. And in some ways it's exciting because you're going out and you think that you're able to really narrow down and pinpoint these are exactly the needs that we have. And then you just got to figure out, are we in the ballpark money-wise?
Obviously, bringing in players is a huge piece, but you just mentioned the retention there. As a mid-major, how's the struggle when guys progress and play really well to have them not try to take that leap and keep them at NKU?
It's not a struggle. You just lose them. You just do. I think our league last year, the stat was of the 15 guys that made one of the all-conference teams, 14 of them left the league. Wow. And so it's kind of an assumption. And so, again, even in recruiting, we got a really talented freshman this year that I think maybe could help us a lot. There's no guarantees back to the sophomore year. So, again, we just kind of take that one-year approach. How can we be the best team to win a championship this year in the Horizon League?
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
The Reds continue to struggle. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, and it is time to get into everything you missed while you slept right here on The Crown, and it starts with the Reds. The Reds continue to lose. Kyle Schwarber, we've highlighted him throughout the show. We will continue to because the kid from Middletown was the difference yesterday outside of Eugenio Suarez's homer and then his big strikeout, his big strikeout in the 8th inning where I was like, oh, well, maybe they have a chance. The Reds didn't do anything on offense, and Kyle Schwarber's home run, the 2-run homer in the 3rd, was enough to propel the Phillies to a 4-1 victory over the Reds. Andrew Abbott, outside of that pitch, 3-0, pitched well, and the bats couldn't get going.
Yeah, Andrew Abbott has continued to be great since the start of the year where he struggled. And there were 3 replacements yesterday. Maybe we get a couple more opt-outs, and Andrew Abbott's name can be thrown in the mix because he has been phenomenal since the slow start of the season. And a game where you give up 3 earned runs through 6 full innings with 8 Ks, should be one your team can win, but it wasn't for the Reds. Could only score 1 run last night on a solo home run, and that's the thing that's frustrating. Just 5 hits last night for the whole lineup. This team continues to struggle to get on base, and just not really anything consistent from this lineup except for the guys at the top. Another hit from Sal last night, a walk from Elly, which was great, and a very confusing play at second in terms of him being safe there, but all worked out for the Reds except for the final score. And that's the thing with this team, is there's building blocks, I feel like, in some of these games that you can hold on to, but when you look at the big picture, and there's so many losses over the last 2 months, it's hard to really grasp anything positive.
Yeah, one of the alarming things, I mean, we talked yesterday on the show about Zach Wheeler and how he had been dealing and been really good for this Phillies team, and saw it again last night, and especially for this Reds lineup. 18 strikeouts in that game. Wheeler had 14 of those against this lineup. The Reds now have an MLB worst 16 or more strikeout games on the season. So that has to change.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, it's a bad stat.
You want me? Are you sure?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
No, I do. We need to. Yes.
The Reds now have an MLB worst 16 plus strikeout games.
How many outs are in a baseball game?
27.
I know. I'm just. What in
it's
the
a lot of them.
16 4 times?
Yeah.
That's. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
3 of which have come in the last month.
Yeah.
And a season high 18 last night.
Yeah, 18's brutal. I didn't realize there's 4 of 16. One bad night is one bad night. Now it's just nightmarish, and it backs up everything I've said about Kyle Schwarber to this point, but we won't beat that dead horse. Instead, we'll hear from Terry Francona here on the Reds' 4-1 loss to the Phillies.
He held his velocity throughout the game, but he also threw breaking ball changeup, like 3-2. He pretty good.
A night for Andrew where, the one inning got him, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's 6 innings and it's a quality start.
I thought he was throwing the ball really well. He had the Schwarber home run. That he went 3-0 and I think he was trying to throw a fastball off the plate, and he didn't get it there.
And that play in the 8th inning, do you guys coach to run through the bag like that? Because that was almost textbook the way Elly did it.
I don't know about the coaching part. We have talked about it. They talked to us this spring about it, and Elly did a really good thing, because I don't think he's going to be safe. But once he went past second, he made us jab step towards third, and that keeps him alive.
When you strike out so many times in a game like you did tonight, and your hitters have been struggling overall, how do you guard against, I guess, that carrying over even more?
That's the whole idea. That's why we try to show up every day, with a new day. I don't want these guys coming in dragging. It's not going to help. They care. I care. The coaches care. But it doesn't help. And we'll have early hitting tomorrow like we always do, and try to keep after them and keep at them, because we want to do better. We need to do better.
Do you see the bats getting better as time goes on, Terry? It seemed like there were a lot of good competitive at-bats tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to say, because from night to night, I mean, face a guy like Wheeler, stuff's pretty elite. So it's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard. That's why you play every night, and it's a little bit different every night.
The Reds tried to sign Kyle Schwarber, struck out, which set the tone for their 4 games of 16-plus strikeouts. That's Terry Francona, courtesy of Reds TV. 4-1, Phillies handle business. The Reds leave 7 on base, including the bases loaded in the 8th when they had a real chance. They spoil what was a nice outing for Andrew Abbott. He did give up the 3 runs. The 2-run homer to Kyle Schwarber was the difference there, really. But overall, he's just pitched really darn well. And yet you look at it, 41-49. And I want to put this in perspective. The Reds since May 1st, 21 wins. The Reds in April, 20 wins. So they have just one more win in May, June, and it's July 8th. than they did in all of April. 16 and a half back, 8 games back in the wild card. We've joked about this a few weeks ago when they were like three back in the wild card, and you guys were like, it's only 3 back. 8? You can't sell me on 8.
8 might be the biggest single-digit number. I'm not ready to see 9, but right now 8 feels like the biggest possible number. I mean,
don't be late.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's getting late early.
When I look at the standings, like 16 games back in the Central, 16 games back in the Central, and 8 games back in the wild card. Questions come up from last night's lineup for me. And when you're looking at who was starting the game last night, TJ Friedl back from Louisville starting in center field last night. When a team is struggling this much, and the record is what it is, and the standings are what they are, the young players have to play. Nolan Marte and Edwin Arroyo need to be playing, if not every day, pretty close to it. And the fact that we're here seeing lineups now 16 games back in the division without 2 of the most exciting young prospects in this organization in the lineup, I don't know what more there is to gain right now than learning what you have in these young guys and giving them valuable MLB at-bats. So that's the biggest thing when I look at those standings, is that's justification to play these young guys more.
Yeah, and, just going back to Andrew Abbott, as, you mentioned, that was his 7th quality start on the season. He had a season-high 8 strikeouts. First time this year he didn't allow a walk in a game, too. So it's really, you take out that one at-bat and really, that inning there where he gave up the 3 runs, and it might have been his best start of the season, despite, if you take away, those couple of pitches there that ended up leading to, the home run, and then, obviously the runs before. But it's tough when you have starting pitching outings like this, and I feel like we sound like a broken record at this desk talking about how you just don't have the run support behind it.
Which ties back to Kyle Schwarber. We can bring it full circle here. One of the my favorite moments of the game was what the Cowboy Jeff Brantley had to say. 3-0. It's 3-0. Andrew Abbott about to walk Kyle Schwarber. 1 runner on, and, well, this happens.
Schwarber is swinging if it's something he likes, and it is a 3-ball, no-strike count. Pitch from Abbott. Boom. It is 3-0. A home run into the bleachers in right field, and I mean, it was a rocket. No sooner did I get that out of my mouth, he was swinging 3-0, and he did.
And do the Reds have anyone swinging on 3-0 freely? Elly?
He doesn't. The most for sure, but not much.
And that kind of says something. Like, if you don't have someone that the opposing broadcaster is saying, hey, it's 3-0, but it's Major League Baseball. You need someone like that that's fearful. It's like, oh, yeah, Jamar Chase doesn't have a catch, but he could go for 80 right here on this very play. Like, you need some kind of threat like that. It's just an example, but I love that call. Boom.
I assume how every Reds fan watching on TV or listening on the radio felt when that ball flew. I mean, I think maybe that was the easiest prediction of all time, is that he was going to hit a home run. If it wasn't last night, it was at some point this series to swing a game, just because of how much everyone's been talking about it all season. So it's certainly a tough pill to swallow, and I assume it's probably not Schwarber's last big hit of this series, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, let's dive into, well, some hope. Ke'Bryan Hayes to AAA. I know you're really excited about Ke'Bryan Hayes making his way back. You want to talk about home runs.
Huge double last night in his first AAA game. So if he can hit with that glove, it's certainly a valuable player, one of the most valuable players in the league. And he hasn't been able to hit in about 5 seasons. So we'll see if he can turn it around. But certainly great to see him up in Louisville after being scratched from Sunday in Dayton. There were some concerns about a potential injury. They didn't say how many days or games he would be in Louisville, an undetermined amount. But as of right now, looks pretty good with a double last night. So hopefully he can get back to this team soon if he can be productive.
Yeah, Terry Francona said the plan is for him to play 7 innings at third today in Louisville. So like you said, he also mentioned undetermined number of games down there. So really curious just how long the stint will be before he's back up.
Is there anyone, like let's say he passes every check, is there anyone you're like, all right, Hayes should be up for this person right now? And I know you're low on Hayes.
I mean, I don't know that TJ Friedl has much of a place on this roster, and he's playing every day. I mean, almost every day.
So that would be
Hayes on the bench as a defensive replacement, I think, is more valuable than that.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it's post All-Star break.
McLean. I mean, if you have an infield backup, maybe McLean's the option at that point if he's still struggling.
The thing with Hayes is like, if you make sure he's okay first.
Yeah.
Right. clearly they were comfortable with him and they made the trade, and we've talked about that plenty, but he's here now. Make sure he's okay to play, and he was sore after the single-A appearances.
Right.
Just weird. The whole thing's odd.
I do think part of that's why they moved him to Louisville and the no timeline here is because of the rocky single-A rehab stint. I think if those 3 games went well, maybe we're seeing a more distinct timeline here, and he's moving up with a better goal in mind to get back to the major league club. But I think the struggles there physically in single-A over the 3 games over the weekend led to this. We'll let him play as long as he needs to play in Louisville until he can get healthy and feel pretty confident at the plate.
Yes. There's more in While You Slept here, including some UC news. Juliet Hubner won the Big 12 Bob Bowlesley Award, so congrats to her for that. And hopefully I did not butcher her name there. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, great award for her. One of the most prestigious honors given to student athletes. So not only their success on the field, but really exemplifying their leadership and all the well-rounded achievements. So awesome that she was honored and recognized in this way.
It was cool to see Bearcats get big-time recognition like this. So good for her.
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to shout her out here on While You Slept. And I know Marissa's been wanting to get to this because Donovan Mitchell is a Cleveland Cavalier for the foreseeable future. And maybe the Reds didn't get that Schwarber deal done, but the Cavs got that Mitchell deal done. 4 years, $273 million maximum extension. I can't count that high. $273 million going to Donovan Mitchell as the Cavaliers keep their best player.
Yeah, I was excited when I saw the news come through yesterday about this, and finally I think this puts to bed the whole, there's talks and conversations, does Donovan want out of Cleveland? And, no, he wants to be in Cleveland. He's a Cav. He even posted, a pretty nice little tribute on his Instagram about just what Cleveland has meant to him and that it's home now. So I'm a little more excited, though, about what this might potentially mean.
Oh, my God. Is she really spinning this? Just enjoy.
What do you mean spinning it?
Spinning it. Enjoy LeBron, huh?
Help me out
Is that
here.
it?
Hey, a year early for the extension. Could have got about $80 million more if you waited till next offseason for the Supermax. So maybe something for cap space. Another move coming. I mean, LeBron going to Cleveland wasn't going to be a huge contract anyway. We're always talking about a potential MLE or a minimum deal. So if anything, I think this leads to potentially another move to help the roster around a LeBron, Donovan Mitchell core. But it was certainly my first thought as well. Wheels are in motion. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, from Donovan Mitchell to a real NBA champion, Jalen Brunson undergoing right wrist surgery. Hey, LeBron, you want to join someone? You join that guy right there. Finals MVP Jalen Brunson, left wrist. Played through this throughout the playoffs, which crazy because he dropped 45 to finish off the Spurs in the NBA Finals. I believed in Jalen Brunson, I never thought he would be Finals MVP. I don't get why people are questioning Becky Hammon like they didn't feel the same way deep down. Congrats to Jalen on a heck of a year, and I can't believe he did it with a wrist injury.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Really just every story that's come out about this Knicks championship since they won it. Mitch Robinson punching his truck and Jalen with the broken wrist. All of this is just really crazy and just brings it together how impressive that championship run was. And the fact that Brunson, who's not the fastest, not the best ball handler, not the best shooter, playing not even at 100%, still clearly the best player on the floor in big-time games is incredible.
Taking at Wemby.
What?
With that wrist issue.
I know. It's
taking that at Wemby.
Unbelievable to see him do that, especially at his size with the defensive presence of that Spurs team. So unbelievable. Just makes one of the most impressive finals performances even more impressive now.
We've been talking a lot about baseball. Shohei Ohtani continues to be, insane. Wemby's an alien. Shohei Ohtani right there with him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Hitting his 300th career home run last night and joining pretty elite company and really just standing alone by himself now as the first player in MLB history with 300 home runs and 100 stolen bases in his first 9 MLB seasons. And with this home run, past Babe Ruth in terms of who with most career pitching strikeouts among players to hit 300 or more home runs. Ohtani ahead of Babe Ruth now, and I mean, hands down going to go down as one of the best players ever to play the game, and also became the first ever Japanese-born player to hit 300 home runs.
Oh, and he's 47-22 in his career on the mound with a 2.83 ERA.
And there's that.
Well on his way to being, and I don't say this lightly, GOAT. Like
on his way?
Yeah. Relax. But yes, on his way.
I don't know how much further he's got to go.
I know. It's insane.
He's just going to continue to separate himself. I think that's what it is.
I think the thing with him that's so hard to do.
Cooperstown for pitching?
Yeah.
Cooperstown for hit? Yeah.
That's the thing that's so hard to separate with him to other GOAT debates is, sure, he compares to other best hitters of all time, but he also compares to some of the best pitchers of all time. So how do you kind of measure that? It's unbelievable what he's been able to do. And for so long, I mean, there was such a concern about his health, trying to play both ways when he came over, and still just doing it at the highest level.
Yeah, he is for sure. He's a ton of fun to watch. When you say the numbers out loud, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. We will continue. Plenty of Reds on the way, plenty of Bengals as well. Just getting started on a hump day edition of First Word right here on The Crown.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for the Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Because if Joe Burrow thinks he's that good and he's prepared against him, he's probably that good.
Exactly. And Joe Burrow just isn't going to say something like that just for the sake of saying it. He truly believes it because Joe also knows his words are going to be consumed across socials, across the NFL world, and everyone's going to dissect what he is saying. So the fact that Joe is saying that means a lot. It carries a lot. And it's also giving that reassurance, I think, to both Dexter and the rest of this locker room and fan base that, the Bengals went out, got a difference maker, one of the best defensive linemen to add to bolster this defense so they can be a lot better than they were the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And Dexter's production took a step back last year, but the production as an interior defensive lineman is only about half of the battle here. And I think that's what's part of what's so exciting for a lot of people both in the fan base and in the building, including, I assume, Joe. As much as Dex affects everyone else in that defensive line and on the defense, playing at a true nose tackle position over the center, getting double teamed as much as he did, like Marisa just said. But even last year in a down year for the production, it's what he does when he's on the field that makes a huge difference. The Giants, when Dexter was off the field last year, were 32nd in yards per attempt, 31st in sack rate, and 27th in EPA per pass. When Dexter was on the field, they were 8th in yards per attempt, 9th in sack rate, and 10th in EPA per pass. He didn't just make them a fine defense. He took them from a defense ranked in the 30s in a 32-team league to a defense in the top 10. How much he can sway a team when he's on the field for his impact at the interior position is second to none.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
First Word rolls on Hump Day. Welcome back. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. And let's dive into it. I love this every year. NFL executives, coaches, scouts get with ESPN and talk with ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and rank the top players at each position. So this is going to be something we react to throughout the next week plus here as the positions continue to roll out with Jeremy Fowler. And maybe we'll bother Jeremy and have him come on to talk about the Bengals that have made the list on their respective positions. Let's start with Chase Brown. And we did a little over-under on Chase Brown this week. Make sure you check that out on our YouTube channel if you missed it. But Chase Brown, after having over 1,400 yards from scrimmage last year and being a big part of this Bengals offense, not listed as a top 10 running back, which I don't think is the craziest thing, but he's also not mentioned in the honorable mentions either. And he was one of the also receiving votes category. And there's a look at your top 10. Bijan Robinson, number 1, foolishly right ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, who's the best running back in the league, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Devin Achane. And then you have the Super Bowl MVP making it there, and Kenneth Walker, who signed with the Chiefs. And then Breece Hall, who, honestly, rated too low. That's one of my reactions there. I like Breece Hall. I'm a big Breece Hall believer. But let's start there. That top 10 that you're looking at, surprised? Is it fair, foul, indifferent that Chase Brown not ranked in the top 10?
Well, when I saw he wasn't, I expected to be mad. And then I saw the top 10, and it's hard to justify ranking him ahead of many or any of these guys. I think
Kenneth Walker?
That's the one I would have circled. Also, Breece Hall I like as well, but strictly production-wise over the last 2 years, Chase Brown has been a leg up. I understand, but also last year, most of the season here, this Bengals offense wasn't exactly great either. So I think that kind of mediates that a little bit for Chase Brown in terms of the Jets side of things, and also the mouths to feed here in Cincinnati. But I think those are the only two that really have an argument to be had here, and I don't think it's crazy to rank Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker, especially coming off the seasons they both just had, Kenneth Walker winning a Super Bowl MVP ahead of Chase Brown. Now, I think if he does what he did last year, again, next year, we can have some really fun conversations about where he could be on that list, potentially much higher than 8 or 9. But the top 10 seems about right, though I do disagree on the order in some places.
I had that same reaction at first. I was like, what do you mean? How is Chase Brown not in the top 10? And then you look at the list and it's like, all right, well, numbers-wise, if they're going based purely off of rushing stats and numbers, well, Chase Brown only had the 17th most rushing yards in the NFL last season. Of course, we know what he's done from scrimmage and how he's used in the passing game. I have the bigger issue with him not being on the honorable mention list. So honorable mention-wise, you have Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, and Quinshon Judkins. If you're going to have Judkins on that list, who had 998 scrimmage yards, 827 of those rushing yards, how are you not having Chase Brown, who had over 1,000 rushing yards, had over 1,456 scrimmage yards, along with his 6 rushing touchdowns? Judkins only had 7 rushing touchdowns. I don't understand there how he made it over Chase.
And Judkins averaged 3.6 yards per carry. Right. Like, I get it. The Browns offense, like 3.6. That's awful. Like, that's ridiculously bad. I agree. I don't know how he made the honorable mentions list. And I like Quinshon Judkins. By the way, this is coming from an Ohio State fan and Marisa Contipelli. And so it's not like you don't believe in Quinshon Judkins, but his rookie year, the production wasn't there, and Chase Brown's been productive for 2 years, and he's shown it and proven it. I agree with you. I don't understand what – this is like a pre-draft evaluation, which, by the way, the Bengals like Quinshon Judkins pre-draft. I know they did. That doesn't mean that they would take him right now over Chase Brown. Chase Brown's awesome, and that's what's odd to me when it comes to, like, Chase Brown's overall value. Do you pay him? Do you send him to an extension? Do you not? Like, how is he actually viewed? And if NFL teams really think Quinshon Judkins today is ahead of him, then what are you talking about?
Right, and I think that's the first thing that came to my mind is if that's where he's viewed by the rest of the league, can the Bengals get lucky on a contract here if he's not falling where my mind has had him in the running back landscape so far? I think for the most part, my number has been right around that 10 to 12 million number, and if you get much higher than that, there's a huge question about extending Chase Brown here. Now, if you look at the guys ranked ahead of him, those are the guys making more than that. So I do wonder how the league's opinion on him can, number one, flip based on a season this year, another season of high-level production. But number two, why is it so different from the view here in Cincinnati? Is it just because the focus is on Joe and the receivers more often? Is it the conversation the last 2 years has been focused on the defense? But either way, no matter how you slice it, top 10 or not, Chase Brown is a super underrated running back in the league.
Yeah, and I guess if he wants to fly under the radar, that could play into the Bengals' benefit when you look to, sign him to some type of extension, whether it be, this offseason or, after we play out the year. I don't. It's hard to wrap my head around because you even look at his fantasy numbers, he is always a really consistently high-scoring fantasy running back, and obviously they're not going to go off of that when they're making this type of list, but to not even be in the honorable mention, and it says that he received some votes. I want to know how many votes. Was this just one or two executives voting for him, or did he just miss getting on the list? It makes you question, makes you wonder.
Yeah, it certainly makes you wonder, especially because speaking of Ohio State and Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson received votes.
Yeah.
It was awful for New England. Wasn't getting on the field for New England. And again, a guy I like, the Bengals like all those things, but it's pre-draft evaluations. Really weird on the voting process. The other thing that really showed up, Christian McCaffrey wasn't ranked for some.
Yeah.
There's no scenario where the guy who went for 2,000 yards from scrimmage last year isn't ranked. I get it. He might not be what he once was. He's still awesome. And so not ranking him, well, that is the most ridiculous thing ever. Christian McCaffrey's a top running back.
Some of these low-end rankings absolutely blew my mind. I mean, you mentioned that Jahmyr Gibbs should be number one. I certainly agree with that sentiment. The lowest ranking here was 8 for Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, some of these, Saquon Barkley as well, 8. Unranked for Jonathan Taylor. It's mind-boggling to me that you could have these players outside of the top 10, certainly that top 5, and then for Chase Brown to only get a few extra votes at the end. If you have these guys out, I would love to know who else these guys had ranked in their top 10.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We will dive back into the Bengals coming up in just a bit. But up next, it is time for our What's the Word poll question of the day right here on First Word.
The city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapien, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
Well, it wasn't all love for these Bengals coordinators when it comes to this Bleacher Report article, because it named a bunch of future head coaches or potential head coaching candidates, and it was a bunch of coordinators, some experienced, some not so experienced. Do you see Al Golden there? Oh, well, that's not a shock. The Bengals' defense is bad, so it makes sense. Do you see Dan Pitcher's name on that list?
It's on the next slide, right? Because it can't have been left off. Right, there has to be another slide.
No, I see former Bengals defensive coach Matt Burke. I see former Bengals cornerbacks coach Vance Joseph. I see Shielhouse and Udinsky, two guys that were in the mix for the Browns job. No, I don't see either Bengals coordinator. And so, fair or foul, that Dan Pitcher and Al Golden not being mentioned makes sense. That Bleacher Report got it right.
Yeah, I think it makes somewhat sense for Al Golden. I think it's a big leap for him to go from last year to this year and be in head coaching conversations, though I do think it's possible. It's an argument I was expecting to make with this topic, but I didn't think I'd have to make the same one for Dan Pitcher. I didn't think that was going to be evidently, according to Bleacher Report, a hot take that he belongs in the same group as the rest of these young coordinators in the league. I understand he doesn't call plays. I understand that that's a huge piece of this for a lot of offensive coordinators that take that leap to being a head coach. But I don't understand how you can look at this Bengals team and, quite frankly, the lack of success over the last 3 years and what he's been able to do as the offensive coordinator in this offense with Joe Burrow and not think that he's worthy of this conversation if the team's healthy and they accomplish their goals this season. I think if the Bengals are in competition for the AFC North with the Ravens and you're making the playoffs and you're winning playoff games and competing for a Super Bowl, then we're not talking about if Dan Pitcher's worth a head coaching job. We're talking about which interview he's probably going to land the job at the end of this season. I think it's a given that he's in these conversations.
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Shout out to Damien. The crowd keeps on climbing here. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati. Shout out to Gabe. He said 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes to
start the clock.
Yeah. Tick, 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 tick. All right, let's get to today's poll question. And boy, oh boy, what's the word poll question of the day? It's pretty simple, and it involves Kyle Schwarber. And we started there, and we're going to dive back into what the heck happened at GABP last night. But if the Reds had gotten a deal done with Kyle Schwarber and done what they should have done, signing him to a long-term contract in November, would they be over 500 this season? 33.2% say no, bad roster, including the control room. You bums back there, I can't believe you voted that way. 33.2%. Yes, barely 500, 30.7%. 21.6% say yes, playoff contenders. 14.6% say no, just under 500. I'm going to start first. I think they would be playoff contenders. I think it would matter that much. I think they'd have like 47, 48 wins. They'd be 2 or 3 back in the wild card, and it would feel much, much different as their starting pitching gets healthy, as Hunter makes his way back, as these guys get going.
Yeah, I'm not quite there, but I do think it would be better. I certainly fall in the yes, barely 500 group. I think they're teetering right around that point right now. He adds probably 3 to 5 more wins to this team so far, just with his ability and consistency at the plate, which is something this Reds team hasn't been able to have so far. So
3 would be under 500.
Oh, right around 500. Okay. You're playing for it. So right in that.
I'm just hitting you with the math. Just hitting you with the math.
I don't think you'd make him that much better.
5 would get. And so here's the thing. They would say, that's why we didn't sign him. No, that's ridiculous. They would be, their margin would be, it would just be much different. A lot of these one-run games where they just needed it. Yesterday, flip it. He's literally the difference in that game.
Yeah.
It's not like the Phillies had some hidden anything. It's because, all right, I'm Andrew Abbott, it's 3-0, and I make a mistake over the middle. That's it. And so I think it would have helped. Marisa, you think it would have helped?
I think it would have helped too. I don't know if I'd go as far as saying they'd be playoff contenders just with one person, because I just don't think one player makes that big of a difference on a team. But I think that they'd be probably a little above 500, possibly, like around that mark, kind of like how you lie, Jacob. But yeah, he absolutely would make a difference in the lineup.
So let's just say it's 5 wins, right? So they're 46 and 44 right now. 3 back in the wild card. you guys would be arguing that's playoff contention. The three. I'm just, you know,
I was thinking division was where my head was.
No, they're light years away in the division. Yes, and there's multiple moves that they would have needed to have made and gotten right and all of those things. But, yeah, like it wouldn't feel like it does now, where you got Terry Francona, who we're going to hear from in a second, like, just trying to bring the same attitude every day, and guys care. And they're really trying to batten down the hatches. They've won 21 games since May 1st. They won 20 games in April. Yeah. That's it. And we're going to dive into all of the stats, all of the good and the bad. And there was some good. Eugenio Suarez hit a home run. He also had one of the worst at-bats ever, and we're going to look at where those pitches were with the bases loaded. We'll do that. We'll hear from Terry Francona. We will hear from All-Star Andrew Abbott as well. Just getting started on a Hump Day edition of First Word right here on The Crown. CB1 calculated DJ Turner on Instagram with the soon post there, and you see it. That's a lot of stacks there. That's a lot. I don't know. Did you count them all?
I was trying. I think it's like $25 million a year, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, he's good with that too. Are the Bengals good with that? I think that's where it leads to. Let's start here. Do we think that this CB1 calculated the soon Instagram posting it, knowing it's going to get the people going? Is a deal looming?
Yes, I feel like it has to be. You're not just going to post that just to post it. I mean, the only way you're posting that is if there's like actual talks happening right now, and hopefully we see something get done before training camp, and it doesn't loom into camp in the preseason. But I can't see DJ posting this in there not being negotiations happening.
I thought it'd for sure have to get to me to overreact about a cryptic social media post. But absolutely, I think a contract is close. I saw this.
It's close.
It's close. They've had conversations. They've definitely had conversations already. At least I would think so. It's been the conversation all offseason at this desk that he's the no-brainer number one priority on the extension front. So I think as soon as this reaches the Instagram story slide, it's either close or conversations are progressing or whatever the word is. Something happened in those conversations to have him and his agent post this, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I hope that thing is getting close.
Hi, my name is Elly Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday at 7 to 11 right here on The Crown. And the Reds, well, the Reds continue to red as we reach the second week of July. They lose 4-1 to the Phillies at GABP last night. Man, oh man. You have Kyle Schwarber hitting a 2-run home run. Andrew Abbott overall pitched well, gave up 3 runs. The Reds only score 1 run on the Eugenio Suarez solo shot. That's kind of the story. When they get good pitching, don't get enough hitting, and that was certainly the case on Monday night. Or on Tuesday night, excuse me.
That home run for Suarez hit his 198th home run as a Red, tied Barry Larkin for the 11th most in Reds history. So certainly cool
optimism
to see him keep climbing the list.
Look at that.
Hopefully a lot more home runs before that August 3rd trade deadline.
When will he get to the 200 mark? Is it this week?
I hope before the All-Star break.
Is it? Is it?
I hope.
Is it this series?
It's not this series, but I'll say it's before the All-Star break. It's before the All-Star break.
It needs to be this series, Suarez. You have a lot to do to catch up with Kyle Schwarber.
It's tough that that's the comparison he's dealing with so far this year.
Yeah,
but I'll say the same thing I say after Suarez has a home run every game. Maybe this can be the start of something. And I feel like we've done this a lot this season.
Don't
but
even do it.
That's the thing that the Reds have to do at this point. Yes, I saw the 8th, and I know we'll get there. But talking about the home run right now, and that's something that hopefully Suarez can build off of because that's why he was brought here. We've seen it a little bit more over the last month than we did over the first few of the season, but still not the Suarez that was signed. Hopefully a building block. But I don't know how much longer I can believe in that.
Yeah, he has a lot of ground to make up if you're trying to compare him to Kyle Schwarber, who's on pace for 53 home runs this season and leads the league right now in home runs. So, yeah, he added another one to his stat sheet against the Reds, making it the most home runs he's faced against any team now with 27 against the Reds. And like you said, Abbott pitched well outside, that one mistake that he made to Schwarber. Abbott had 6 innings, struck out 8, no walks, his high strikeout number 4 this season. First time this year he has gone a start without allowing a walk. So you take out that one mistake and, it was a pretty good outing by Abbott.
Yeah, it was. And on the other side, the Reds strikeout, and some more. 75% of their outs. Strikeouts.
Yeah. Season high 18.
I was hoping you weren't going to count all the way to 18.
Yeah, we'd be here for a while.
Rough, but 75%. Like I just try to find the way to make it hit home.
Yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
So their 4th game of 16 or more strikeouts. That's the worst in the majors, and right now they are on pace to have 1,534 strikeouts as a team. They had 1,415 strikeouts a year ago. That was 9th most in the majors. But if they eclipse that 1,500 mark, it would be the first time they've done so since 2023. And that's just a lot. That's a lot of strikeouts. That's a lot of swings and misses.
It is. And Terry Francona, I got to be honest, he's searching. He's searching like a lot of Reds fans are searching. Here's Tito after the loss.
He held his velocity throughout the game. But he also threw breaking ball changeup, like 3-2. He pretty good.
A night for Andrew where, the one inning got him, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's 6 innings and it's a quality start.
I thought he was throwing the ball really well. He had the Schwarber home run, that he went 3-0 and I think he was trying to throw a fastball off the plate. And he didn't get it there.
When they're playing the 8th inning, do you guys coach to run through the bag like that? Because that was almost textbook the way Elly did it.
I don't know about the coaching part. We have talked about it. They talked to us this spring about it. And Elly did a really good thing because I don't think he's going to be safe. But once he went past second, he made a jab step towards third. And that keeps him alive.
When you strike out so many times in a game like you did tonight, and your hitters have been struggling overall, how do you guard against, I guess, that carrying over even more?
That's the whole idea. That's why we try to show up every day. with a new day. You know, I don't want these guys coming in dragging. It's not going to help. They care. I care. The coaches care. But it doesn't help. And we'll have early hitting tomorrow like we always do and try to keep after them and keep at them because we want to do better. We need to do better.
Do you see the bats getting better as time goes on? It seemed like there were a lot of good competitive at-bats tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to say because from night to night, I mean, face a guy like Wheeler, stuff's pretty elite. So it's kind of hard to, that's why you play every night, and it's a little bit different every night.
We want to be better. We need to be better. Print the shirt. Terry Francona making it clear the Reds want to be better. Well, they're not better. They lose 4-1 to the Phillies. They leave 7 runners on base. Andrew Abbott falls to 5-5 on the year despite the quality start. 5 hits, 3 runs. Gave up the 2-run shot to Kyle Schwarber in 6 innings, but had a season high, like Marisa said, 8 strikeouts. The Reds struck out 18 times. Excuse me. I tried to give them a benefit of the doubt. 18 times, which queued up as we look here at these standings. 41 and 49, 16 and a half back in the Central, 8 back in the wild card. This conversation and looking at the division and looking at where the Reds are at and talking about that loss and listening to Terry Francona has Jacob Tissot mentioning bench warmers too during Terry Francona. No one in the planet knew besides the cast that there was a bench warmers too outside of Jacob Tissot. And yet you're mentioning the classic that apparently was a Netflix only.
No, Bench Warmers is the classic. Bench Warmers 2 was a huge mistake, and no one should waste their time to go see it. But
speaking of huge mistakes, the Reds are 41 and 49, and they have to find a way. I mean, ridiculous. And it's bad that they're reminding you of bench warmers in any facet.
Absolutely. And Francona's quote right there, we have to be better, we need to be better. And the thing with this Reds roster is they got to be better everywhere. They have to be better at the bullpen. They have to be better at the plate. The starting pitching has to be better, even though Abbott's been great for the last few months. Chase Burns has been great. But as a whole, the rotation hasn't been what it was supposed to be before this season. They have to get better everywhere. And that's the frustrating thing right now as we sit almost at the All-Star break is you can't just pick some spots to go maybe add a bullpen arm or go try to get a starter here or add an outfield bat like the conversation has been in years past. They feel like they need so much to be competitive and re-enter the wild card race or somehow the division race, and it just doesn't seem feasible that they could add all those pieces. And that's where the frustration comes in. The players that are going to get this Reds team to anywhere they're going to get to this season are already here for the most part.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of questions, and how are they going to get better is the big one. And you saw on the graphic there, 7 left on base again, and this is another conversation that seems to keep coming up time and time again, and they weren't able to get a hit with a runner in scoring position last night too, so it's just missing opportunities when you have them is just another broken record that we keep talking about at this desk.
Yep, there's no doubt about it, and that one of those missed opportunities was an at-bat from Eugenio Suarez. We'll hear from him coming up in a second, but let's start with the positive. Andrew Abbott gave the Reds a chance to win, had 8 strikeouts, gave up 3 runs in 6 innings. Here's All-Star Andrew following the loss.
In the game, look up and it's 6 innings and a quality start.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I threw the ball well. I was in the zone with all my pitches. I kept a good offense pretty quiet other than one mistake. But then again, Schwarber's a good hitter. It's 3-0 count. We're going to live and die by the sword. The fastball is one of my best pitches. He just put a good swing on it. But yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Obviously, would you throw him another breaking ball? Sure. But like I told Tracy and Steve-O in the dugout, I said I'm going to attack with my best stuff no matter who it is. You still have Harper on deck who can hurt you in any way. But yeah, other than one mistake, I thought I threw the ball well. I didn't give them any chances, didn't have any walks. So they definitely had to earn it, and they earned it.
You expect a guy like Schwarber to have the green light on a 3-0, and is it just missing a spot there?
Yeah, absolutely to have the green light on 3-0 for him. I don't really think I missed a spot. I got the ball up, which was the attack on him. I think it kind of faded back to the middle, which was the mistake. We were trying to go away. We just left it middle, and like I said before, he's a good hitter. He's going to punish the mistakes, and he's done that his entire career, and he's going to continue to do that.
Taking a lot of pride, Andrew, in going 6 innings, 7th quality start, I think, of the year.
Yeah, I was joking with Steve. I was like, I haven't been in the sixth in like what felt like 6 straight starts. Pitch count was low, was in the zone, which allowed me to go 6. Just trying to keep your team in the game as long as you can, then pass it off, with no traffic, with nothing on the base paths to the relievers. They've been Bulldogs all year. So just trying to keep that team quiet and give our team a chance to win, make a comeback, make a big stand. That's all you can do as a starting pitcher.
Your walk rate has been up. Didn't walk a batter tonight. Is that something to build on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, you guys know I hate walking people. I think ABS has played a little bit in our brains as starting pitchers this year, but I mean, it's still not an excuse to walk people. You still got to be aggressive. Your stuff's good enough. That's why you're here. You have it some days, you don't have it. But like I said, I think when you get strike one, it opens up the door to a lot of other stuff, and then they start chasing pitches.
Andrew Abbott's been a bright spot. I mean, I keep saying the stat. The Reds were 20-11 in April. They've won 21 games since, which is just insane to think about. Andrew Abbott's been good during that stretch, which is even crazier because Chase Burton's been great all year. Andrew Abbott's been good during that stretch. They've missing pieces and all of those things, but another blown opportunity by the Reds where Andrew Abbott pitches well.
Yeah, I'm glad you keep putting in perspective how much April's keeping this team afloat, because I think it's important when we look at the standings to remember how good they were in April. And
20-11.
Exactly, and how bad it's gotten since. Because if you're 16 games back in the division now, if you're 8 games back in the wild card now, imagine if it was just a standard April. I'm not saying it has to be the May and June that this Reds team had, just imagine if it was normal.
21-38 since May 1.
Right, and there's still a conversation with the 20-11 May that the season might be teetering on the brink here in early July. So it's very lucky that April is able to keep this Reds team afloat, but I don't know how much longer it can. If you keep digging a hole like this 2 months in a row, being the worst team in baseball for 2 consecutive months statistically, I don't know how much longer a 9-game cushion can keep you in some kind of conversation.
And I think if my math is correct, since May 1st, 15 of the Reds' wins have come when either Andrew Abbott or Chase Burns have been on the mound.
Oh my God!
You got 2 chances to win.
That's really rough. They only pitch 40% of the time, folks. So if 15 of the 21 win, I mean that's just. And I get it. They've dealt with injuries and all, but it all ties back to if you don't have the hitting to make up for some of the issues you have bullpen-wise or starting pitching-wise because of injuries, or you're going to be in that spot. Eugenio Suarez was signed for exactly that, to bring the hitting. He had a solo home run. He also struck out with the bases loaded in the 8th and a chance to either tie the game, go ahead, and really make a splash and push for a victory. Here's Suarez afterward, courtesy of our friend Mike Petraglia.
Was a sweeper right there, right in the middle.
Other than that, he was pretty tough against you guys. What made him so difficult for you guys?
I mean, I think he made a really good pitch. He obviously has really good stuff, but today he mixed it really well. But my plan on that about was try the catch, the mistake, and thanks God he did it, and I was ready for that one. But like I say, he mixed his stuff really well, but he not making a lot of mistakes. That's why he got success.
I mean, also, when you're watching Abbott pitch, obviously he gave up the homer to Schwarber, but he was pretty good himself.
Yeah, like I say, he just made one mistake. I don't want to call that mistake. He was ready for 3-0. You got to be ready for something dirty. But after that, he was pretty good today. He did a really good job, keep the line shut down, and it's good for him. That's what we want. Have it tie games like this one and try to win it. But the big hit doesn't come on our way today. But we got to continue doing. We got to continue get good at bats and try to create chaos and see what happens after the game.
How do you guys kind of stay up? After, it's been a rough road lately. So.
It's been like that for last month, but we are professional. We got to keep up. We got to take. We don't have to take it for granted. We got to come every day to play our best and go out there, have fun, and try the win games. Go out there and do our 100% and see what happens after the game. I think, like I say, it's been tough for the last month and a half, but at the same time, we are baseball player and we got to understand that and turn the page quick and go next day and have a better day.
Suarez said month and a half. It's been a tough 2+ months. Eugenio, and this was the game-defining at-bat. Suarez had hit the home run to get the Reds on the board, and then bases loaded. They're juiced in the 8th inning. And as you can see here, well, he swung at 2 balls outside of the zone, strikes out with the bases loaded, and man, it's wild. And by the way, I was watching live. The 5th pitch was called a strike 3. Challenged it, handled business. In the moment, I'm like, oh, that's a ball. Like, it's definitely not going to end the inning. And then you strike out anyway. Those are the at-bats. Those are the difference. You need to deliver in that spot because that was their only spot to really dive into this and take advantage. And, yeah, they had the 8 left on, but the 3 there, that was their opportunity, and they didn't take advantage.
Yeah, at this point in the season, I don't know how much confidence there is in Suarez at the plate in a big moment like that. Obviously, he had a big one in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, but
I was not confident.
Right, but that's what he was brought here for. Preseason, you want Suarez in the batter's box with the bases loaded in that situation to win the game, and that's what's unraveled so far this season is the players the Reds put their trust in and their faith in haven't produced at the level necessary, and because of the lack of additions elsewhere, that's completely cratered this lineup.
Yesterday, I had beef with PFF ignoring Ocho Cinco. In 20 minutes, did they get it right when it comes to the Bengals' all-time defensive team for PFF? We'll dive into that. But While You Slept is next, right here on First Word. And so when I see off-season winners lists, I always expect, just naturally, oh, well, the Bengals will be on it. Maybe they're not 1 or 2. The Bengals are going to be on the list. They'll be in the top 5, certainly, because they should be. They added some key pieces. It would make sense. Well, not according to Josh Edwards. Let's take a look at this list here, courtesy of CBS Sports, where, wait, the Bengals they didn't even have the best offseason for an Ohio team? That, according to this CBS Sports ranking, the Browns lead the way, followed by the Raiders, Jets, Rams, Titans, and we're going to break this down. Then the Chiefs, Panthers, Commanders, Texans, 49ers. Look, Jacob, when I see this, the fact that the Bengals are nowhere to be found is shocking to me, especially when you look at a lot of those teams. I'd be stunned if the Bengals weren't far better than them. But when you look at where they were last year, a 6-win team, there's a reason expectations are really high. There's a reason why they're right there with the Ravens in the mix to win the AFC North from an odds standpoint. It's because they added a lot of pieces this offseason. I don't know how you can look at that and say they didn't have a top 10 offseason for what they did this offseason. So, over, under 3,000 yards receiving for both Jamar and T combined this season. Oh, come on.
I can't.
Come on.
You guys.
You? What do you mean, you guys?
3,000 yards. The most that they've ever combined in their careers together, exactly, was just over 2,600. So you're telling me, where are these other 400 yards coming from? When you have an offense that needs to feed Mike Gesicki, you need to feed... You're not going to feed Mike Gesicki?
Not if I can feed Tim Jamar. But okay. Needs is relative. Needs, not Mike. Don't make it about Mike. The word needs is what stood out.
Well, you need to feed Chase Brown. I will stand by that one.
That's fair.
But no, you have so many offensive options on this team. T and Jamar are going to be double teamed at times too. So there's that factor in it as well. However, this is also a team where we're expecting to be good, to be better this season, to be playing ahead with leads. They're going to be running the ball a lot more later in games. At least I'm expecting them to. I'm hoping they are, because if they're down and they're throwing, then there are other problems at hand. I realistically don't see them getting over that 3,000 mark. I could see them getting between 2,700, 2,800, but not over 3.
Wow. So you think they're going to get really close?
I think they'll be close. I just don't think they'll get over.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. The Reds continue to struggle. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, and it is time to get into everything you missed while you slept right here on The Crown, and it starts with the Reds. The Reds continue to lose. Kyle Schwarber, we've highlighted him throughout the show. We will continue to, because the kid from Middletown was the difference yesterday outside of Eugenio Suarez's homer, and then his big strikeout, his big strikeout in the 8th inning, where I was like, oh, well, maybe they have a chance. The Reds didn't do anything on offense, and Kyle Schwarber's home run, the 2-run homer in the 3rd, was enough to propel the Phillies to a 4-1 victory over the Reds. Andrew Abbott, outside of that pitch, 3-0, pitched well, and the bats couldn't get going.
Yeah, Andrew Abbott has continued to be great since the start of the year, where he struggled. And I mean, there were 3 replacements yesterday. Maybe we get a couple more opt-outs, and Andrew Abbott's name can be thrown in the mix, because he has been phenomenal since the slow start of the season. And a game where you give up 3 earned runs through 6 full innings with 8 Ks should be one your team can win. But it wasn't for the Reds. Could only score 1 run last night on a solo home run. And that's the thing that's frustrating. Just 5 hits last night for the whole lineup. This team continues to struggle to get on base, and just not really anything consistent from this lineup, except for the guys at the top. Another hit from Sal last night, a walk from Elly, which was great, and a very confusing play at second in terms of him being safe there, but all worked out for the Reds except for the final score. And that's the thing with this team, is there's building blocks, I feel like, in some of these games that you can hold on to, but when you look at the big picture, and there's so many losses over the last 2 months, it's hard to really grasp anything positive.
Yeah, one of the alarming things, I mean, we talked yesterday on the show about Zach Wheeler and how he had been dealing and been really good for this Phillies team, and saw it again last night, and especially for this Reds lineup. 18 strikeouts in that game. Wheeler had 14 of those against this lineup. The Reds now have an MLB worst for 16 or more strikeout games on the season. So that has to change.
Say that again, please.
Yeah, it's a bad stat.
You want me? Are you sure?
Yeah,
you okay.
No, I do. We need to. Yes.
The Reds now have an MLB worst for 16 plus strikeout games.
How many outs are in a baseball game?
27.
I know. I'm just, what in the
lot of them.
16 4 times?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
3 of which have come in the last month.
Yeah.
And a season high 18 last night.
Yeah, 18's brutal. I didn't realize there's 4 of 16. One bad night is one bad night. Now it's just nightmarish, and it backs up everything I've said about Kyle Schwarber to this point, but we won't beat that dead horse. Instead, we'll hear from Terry Francona here on the Reds' 4-1 loss to the Phillies.
He held his velocity throughout the game, but he also threw breaking ball changeup, like 3-2. He pretty good.
A night for Andrew where, the 1 inning got him, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's 6 innings and it's a quality
I thought he was throwing the ball really well. He had the Schwarber home run. That he went 3-0 and I think he was trying to throw a fastball off the plate, and he didn't get it there.
When they're playing the 8th inning, do you guys coach to run through the bag like that? Because that was almost textbook the way Elly did it.
I don't know about the coaching part. We have talked about it. They talked to us this spring about it, and Elly did a really good thing, because I don't think he's going to be safe. But once he went past second, he made us jab step towards third. And that keeps him alive.
When you strike out so many times in a game like you did tonight, and your hitters have been struggling overall, how do you guard against, I guess, that carrying over even more?
That's the whole idea. That's why we try to show up every day, you know, with a new day. You know, I don't want these guys coming in dragging. It's not going to help. They care. I care. The coaches care. But it doesn't help. And we'll have early hitting tomorrow like we always do and try to keep after them and keep at them because we want to do better. We need to do better. That's.
Do you see the bats getting better as time goes on? It seemed like there were a lot of good competitive at-bats tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to say because from night to night, I mean, face a guy like Wheeler, stuff's pretty elite. So it's kind of hard to, that's why you play every night, and it's a little bit different every night.
The Reds tried to sign Kyle Schwarber, struck out, which set the tone for their 4 games of 16-plus strikeouts. That's Terry Francona, courtesy of Reds TV. 4-1, Phillies handle business. The Reds leave 7 on base, including the bases loaded in the 8th when they had a real chance. They spoil what was a nice outing for Andrew Abbott. He did give up the 3 runs. The 2-run homer to Kyle Schwarber was the difference there, really. But overall, he's just pitched really darn well. And yet you look at it, 41-49. And I want to put this in perspective. The Reds since May 1st, 21 wins. The Reds in April, 20 wins. So they have just one more win so in May, June, and it's July 8th than they did in all of April, 16 and a half back, 8 games back in the wild card. We've joked about this a few weeks ago when they were like three back in the wild card. And you guys were like, it's only 3 back. 8? You can't sell me on 8.
8 might be the biggest single-digit number. I'm not ready to see 9, but right now 8 feels like the biggest possible number. I mean,
don't be late.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's getting late early.
When I look at the standings, like 16 games back in the Central, 16 games back in the Central, and 8 games back in the wild card. Questions come up from last night's lineup for me. And when you're looking at who was starting the game last night, TJ Friedl back from Louisville starting in center field last night. When a team is struggling this much, and the record is what it is, and the standings are what they are, the young players have to play. Nolan Marte and Edwin Arroyo need to be playing, if not every day, pretty close to it. And the fact that we're here seeing lineups now 16 games back in the division without 2 of the most exciting young prospects in this organization in the lineup, I don't know what more there is to gain right now than learning what you have in these young guys and giving them valuable MLB at-bats. So that's the biggest thing when I look at those standings. That's justification to play these young guys more.
Yeah, and, just going back to Andrew Abbott, as, you mentioned, that was his 7th quality start on the season. He had a season-high 8 strikeouts. First time this year he didn't allow a walk in a game, too. So it's really, you take out that one at-bat and really, that inning there where he gave up the 3 runs, and it might have been his best start of the season, despite, if you take away, those couple of pitches there that ended up leading to, the home run and then, obviously the runs before. But it's tough when you have starting pitching outings like this, and I feel like we sound like a broken record at this desk talking about how you just don't have the run support behind it.
Which ties back to Kyle Schwarber. We can bring it full circle here. One of the my favorite moments of the game was what the Cowboy Jeff Brantley had to say. 3-0. It's 3-0. Andrew Abbott about to walk Kyle Schwarber. 1 runner on, and, well, this happens.
Schwarber is swinging if it's something he likes, and it is a 3-ball, no strike count. Pitch from Abbott. Boom. It is 3-0. A home run into the bleachers in right field, and I mean, it was a rocket. No sooner did I get that out of my mouth, he was swinging 3-0, and he did.
And do the Reds have anyone swinging on 3-0 freely? Elly?
He doesn't. The most for sure, but not much.
And that kind of says something. Like, if you don't have someone that the opposing broadcaster is saying, hey, it's 3-0, but it's Major League Baseball. You need someone like that that's fearful. It's like, oh, yeah, Jamar Chase doesn't have a catch, but he could go for 80 right here on this very play. Like, you need some kind of threat like that. It's just an example, but I love that call. Boom.
I assume how every Reds fan watching on TV or listening on the radio felt when that ball flew. I mean, I think maybe that was the easiest prediction of all time, is that he was going to hit a home run. If it wasn't last night, it was at some point this series to swing a game, just because of how much everyone's been talking about it all season. So it's certainly a tough pill to swallow, and I assume it's probably not Schwarber's last big hit of this series, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, let's dive into, well, some hope. Ke'Bryan Hayes to AAA. I know you're really excited about Ke'Bryan Hayes making his way back. You want to talk about home runs.
Huge double last night in his first AAA game. So if he can hit with that glove, it's certainly a valuable player, one of the most valuable players in the league. And he hasn't been able to hit in about 5 seasons. So we'll see if he can turn it around. But certainly great to see him up in Louisville after being scratched from Sunday in Dayton. There were some concerns about a potential injury. They didn't say how many days or games he would be in Louisville, an undetermined amount. But as of right now, looks pretty good with a double last night. So hopefully he can get back to this team soon if he can be productive.
Yeah, Terry Francona said the plan is for him to play 7 innings at third today in Louisville. So like you said, he also mentioned undetermined number of games down there. So really curious just how long the stint will be before he's back up.
Is there anyone, like let's say he passes every check, is there anyone you're like, all right, Hayes should be up for this person right now? And I know you're low on Hayes.
I mean, I don't know that TJ Friedel has much of a place on this roster, and he's playing every day. I mean, almost every day.
So that would be
Hayes on the bench as a defensive replacement, I think, is more valuable than that.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it's post All-Star break.
McLean. I mean, if you have an infield backup, maybe McLean's the option at that point if he's still struggling.
The thing with Hayes is like, if you make sure he's okay first.
Yeah.
Like clearly they were comfortable with him and they made the trade, and we've talked about that plenty. But he's here now. Make sure he's okay to play, and he was sore after the single A appearances.
Right.
Just weird. The whole thing's odd.
I do think part of that's why they moved him to Louisville and the no timeline here is because of the rocky single A rehab stint. I think if those 3 games went well, maybe we're seeing a more distinct timeline here, and he's moving up with a better goal in mind to get back to the major league club. But I think the struggles there physically in single A over the 3 games over the weekend led to this. We'll let him play as long as he needs to play in Louisville until he can get healthy and feel pretty confident at the plate.
Yes. There's more in Why You Slept here, including some UC news. Juliet Hubner won the Big 12 Bob Bosley Award, so congrats to her for that. And hopefully I did not butcher her name there. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, great award for her. One of the most prestigious honors given to student athletes. So not only their success on the field, but really exemplifying their leadership and all the well-rounded achievements. So awesome that she was honored and recognized in this way.
Yeah. Always cool to see Bearcats get big-time recognition like this. So good for her.
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to shout her out here on While You Slept. And I know Marissa's been wanting to get to this because Donovan Mitchell is a Cleveland Cavalier for the foreseeable future. And maybe the Reds didn't get that Schwarber deal done, but the Cavs got that Mitchell deal done. 4 years, $273 million maximum extension. I can't count that high. $273 million going to Donovan Mitchell as the Cavaliers keep their best player.
Yeah, I was excited when I saw the news come through yesterday about this, and finally I think this puts to bed the whole, there's talks and conversations, does Donovan want out of Cleveland? And no, he wants to be in Cleveland. He's a Cav. He even posted a pretty nice little tribute on his Instagram about just what Cleveland has meant to him and that it's home now. So I'm a little more excited, though, about what this might potentially mean.
Oh, my God. Is she really spinning this? Just enjoy.
What do you mean spinning it?
Spinning it. Enjoy LeBron, huh?
Help me out
Is that
here.
it?
Hey, a year early for the extension. Could have got about $80 million more if he waited till next offseason for the Supermax. So maybe something for cap space. Another move coming. I mean, LeBron going to Cleveland wasn't going to be a huge contract anyway. We're always talking about a potential MLE or a minimum deal. So if anything, I think this leads to potentially another move to help the roster around a LeBron, Donovan Mitchell core. But it was certainly my first thought as well. Wheels are in motion. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, from Donovan Mitchell to a real NBA champion, Jalen Brunson undergoing right wrist surgery. Hey, LeBron, you want to join someone? You join that guy right there. Finals MVP Jalen Brunson left wrist. Played through this throughout the playoffs, which crazy because he dropped 45 to finish off the Spurs in the NBA Finals. I believed in Jalen Brunson. I never thought he would be Finals MVP. I don't get why people are questioning Becky Hammon like they didn't feel the same way deep down. Congrats to Jalen on a heck of a year, and I can't believe he did it with a wrist injury.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Really just every story that's come out about this Knicks championship since they won it. Mitch Robinson punching his truck and Jalen with the broken wrist. All of this is just really crazy and just brings it together how impressive that championship run was. And the fact that Brunson, who's not the fastest, not the best ball handler, not the best shooter, playing not even at 100%, still clearly the best player on the floor in big-time games is incredible.
Look at Wemby.
What?
With that wrist issue.
I know.
It's taking that at Wemby.
Unbelievable to see him do that, especially at his size with the defensive presence of that Spurs team. So unbelievable. Just makes one of the most impressive finals performances even more impressive now.
We've been talking a lot about baseball. Shohei Ohtani continues to be, well, insane. Wemby's an alien. Shohei Ohtani right there with him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Hitting his 300th career home run last night and joining pretty elite company and really just standing alone by himself now as the first player in MLB history with 300 home runs and 100 stolen bases in his first 9 MLB seasons. And with this home run, past Babe Ruth in terms of who with most career pitching strikeouts among players to hit 300 or more home runs. Ohtani ahead of Babe Ruth now, and I mean, hands down going to go down as one of the best players ever to play the game, and also became the first ever Japanese-born player to hit 300 home runs.
Oh, and he's 47-22 in his career on the mound with a 2.83 ERA.
And there's that.
Well on his way to being, and I don't say this lightly, GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Like
on his way?
Yeah. Relax. But yes, on his way.
I don't know how much further he's got to go.
I know. It's insane.
He's just going to continue to separate himself. I think that's what it is.
I think the thing with him that's so hard to do.
Cooperstown for pitching?
Yeah.
Cooperstown for hit? Yeah.
That's the thing that's so hard to separate with him to other GOAT debates is, yeah, sure, he compares to other best hitters of all time, but he also compares to some of the best pitchers of all time. So how do you kind of measure that? It's unbelievable what he's been able to do. And for so long, I mean, there was such a concern about his health, trying to play both ways when he came over, and still just doing it at the highest level.
Yeah, he is for sure. He's a ton of fun to watch. When you say the numbers out loud, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. We will continue. Plenty of Reds on the way, plenty of Bengals as well. Just getting started on a hump day edition of First Word right here on The Crown.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is The Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Vacation edition, the lounge edition of Countdown.
I'm getting a good stretch.
Yeah, there we go. You need it, man.
I know.
You are not the most malleable.
That's a That's better than the other options you could have went with.
Yeah, probably. I was trying to figure out a good one. All right, let's dive into it. From basketball. We're going to stick with basketball.
This one's yours.
This is my favorite
Unbelievable.
thing ever. Shaquille O'Neal trying to test his reaction time. This
it's just not even close,
Shaq. My man, what are you Yay! Play it again, Gabe. Hold on. Let that run for a minute, because this is my favorite thing.
Man.
He's so dialed. And look.
The best is number
this one.
Whatever, like 7 or 8, where he doesn't even look.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I'm going to get you. Man. I'm going to get you.
No. This one. And he doesn't even turn.
He didn't even see it.
This is the best, or one of the best centers of all time. No reaction time.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the offseason covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
First Word continues right here on The Crown. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Sport, Tissot, and Marisa Contipelli. Let's keep things rolling here. We talked yesterday about the offense and the all-time Pro Football Focus team. They did it for the Bengals on offense and defense. And on offense, well, there's one really crucial snub, and if you missed it, make sure you check it out on our YouTube page. But now it's time to talk about the defense. Let's talk defense, and let's look at this all-time team. Of course, over the past 20 years, and that's how long Pro Football Focus has existed, Geno Atkins is going to lead the way. He's one of the best players in Bengals history. So he leads the way alongside DJ Reader in the defensive line room, Carlos Dunlap, Trey Hendrickson on the edge, Vontaze Burfict, Logan Wilson at linebacker, Sam Hubbard on the other side. We mentioned as the Sam linebacker, which I think is kind of interesting when you have Trey and Carlos there, so we can talk about that. But then Adam Jones, Leon Hall, Mike Hilton, Reggie Nelson, Jesse Bates round out the defense. What stands out to you, Marisa, about this all-time Bengals defense in the PFF era?
The thing that stands out is I think they got it right. I was like trying to rack my brain. I'm like, all right, who's missing from this list? And I think this is the group I would go with. The big question I had was, I was like, all right, Hubbard listed as the Sam linebacker was a little odd, but who else would you, I guess, have in place of Sam instead there? I couldn't really come up with a better name.
Yeah, PFF explanation in the article for that one made it make a little bit more sense. This is just simply because of his coverage grade and the higher number of coverage snaps of the time period let him be listed as a Sam linebacker instead of just that traditional edge rusher. And when that makes sense, I think it makes the overall group look a little bit better. When you can look at his numbers there instead of trying to find another true outside linebacker, I think it does, kind of elevate this defensive group a little bit. I think the first thing that jumped off to me is it's really two eras of defense. Makes the whole thing up. It's this most recent Joe Burrow era, the real outstanding players from that with Reader and Hendrickson, Logan Wilson, Hubbard, and all those guys. And then the Andy Dalton defense, early 2010s era with Geno, Dunlap, and all those guys as well. The position group that I like the most here is that safety room. A Reggie Nelson, Jesse Bates safety room would be a blast to watch. I would absolutely love that one. But this defense, I don't know how much pushback there could really be with this list. I don't know about you, though, James.
You can just leave it to me. You just leave it to me.
You always got something.
Yeah, well, I do. Leon Hall played his best ball, and it was after a lot of his best ball, not all of it, in that nickel spot. And so, like, going back and forth, like, it is Mike Hilton. Like, if you're doing just pure nickel, like, he was awesome, and so this isn't it. But the Adam Jones one, like, as a returner, fine. As a corner, like, Jonathan Joseph was better for 4 years in the PFF era. We could go. William Jackson only had the 1 year, but it was awesome. I get why Adam Jones would be ahead of William Jackson, just to be clear. Chidobe Awuzie, like, as a pure cover outside corner. Yeah, so there are guys I think that stand out there, but the one for me would be Jonathan Joseph. I think that's it. Could you say Jay Kirkpatrick? I can't. I don't think that he's on that level. But for me, like the Adam Jones one, I would probably go Leon Hall, Mike Hilton, and then Jonathan Joseph. And that's what led to Jonathan Joseph's departure, led to Jay Kirkpatrick and Darqueze Dennard and William Jackson III, and then the signing of Trey Waynes, and then the signing of Chidobe Awuzie, and the signing of Mike Hilton. Like, it was literally like a 10-year span. And I missed a few guys in there, but you get the point. It was a wild, wild time for corners on the Cincinnati Bengals and them trying to find answers to that problem, that issue, that void that came with losing Jonathan Joseph. So I would put Jonathan Joseph on here. Yes, Gatorade complaints and all, he would be ahead of Adam Jones for me from a cornerback standpoint. If you want to throw in returning and weapon and all those things, fine. And he certainly played longer for the Bengals. But for the 4 seasons J. Joe was here, he was a better corner than Adam Jones.
I certainly agree in terms of just the play on the field, but I do wonder how much the sample size comes into effect here. I think looking at 4 years for Jonathan Joseph, really all the guys mentioned there, Chidobe Awuzie as well, also a smaller sample size than what Adam Jones has here. And I think that just might be what swings it when you're looking at the last 20 years. I mean, 7 years is nearly half or closer to a third of the, well, I was going to say 7's close to 10, but 21. We're good. We figured it out. But yeah, it's just a huge chunk of this time frame is the thing. And I think that's why it makes it so easy to kind of lean that direction, just because when you look at all the counting numbers overall, it will just give, Pac-Man a little bit of a step up there because of the time that he played the corner position. Also, just how great he was as a returner. I don't know if that's completely excluded or not, but it's hard for me to separate the two in my mind entirely as well.
If we're going based purely off just sample size, are you surprised then that DJ Reader made the list? I mean, I think he deserves to be on this list, but I mean, he was only in Cincinnati for 4 seasons.
Yeah. Who else, though, I guess would be my question. And he was so great at a time where the Bengals were talked about as much as they've really ever been talked about. So it might be, one of those where 2 years is really like 4 years with the amount the Bengals are normally talked about versus during Reader's tenure here. So that was certainly one of my thoughts as well. I just feel like he's separated himself so much from that second interior defensive lineman that the decision was made kind of for them.
Yeah, I think the other one, just looking at Michael Johnson, you want to talk about longevity outside of the 1 year with Tampa Bay. I mean, he 9 years with the Bengals, 141 games, 106 starts, 40 and a half sacks. Like, you know what you do is you take out, you don't need 2 nose tackles.
Right.
True.
And so, technically, if you're doing that with Hubbard, could you do that with Michael Johnson instead of Reader? Like, you probably could. And so that's it. That's the fun. As we did yesterday, where I was like, I think there's a bit more meat on this bone when it comes to the offense. I think there's a bit more meat on the bone when it comes to the defense. We'll continue. Plenty of time to dive into it with training camp, by the way, 3 weeks away. We'll continue next right here on First Word.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Metcalf with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can't score. And the Coach scores and the Reds win.
that being said, that's what makes this free agency period so interesting is LeBron, he's going to take less. He's not going to get a max deal. Is he waiting for the Cavaliers to add and do the Jaylen Brown? Like, if they could have added Jaylen Brown, is LeBron a Cav right now?
Potentially.
Well,
it would be done in my mind.
Yeah, right? So, like, that's what I think is interesting now is he's watching these teams, and if he's willing to sign for less than he's ever signed before, from a salary standpoint, what are these teams willing to do to get that deal done and then also get LeBron in town?
No, it's a great question, and that's what makes me wonder, like, how long is this going to be dragged out when on LeBron watch, and is he really going to wait until the very end of free agency once everything kind of falls into place for all these other teams to make his movement and to pick where he wants to play next?
And so much of the conversation that, his agent, Rich Paul, is meeting with every team in the league until the teams are dropping out of contention for him, and so far we've seen the Spurs and the Lakers be removed from that watch, but I have a hard time believing LeBron's actually talking to every team. Right. He's not going to, go play for Memphis or some of these small market teams. It's not on the table in my mind. So I think it's really a 5 or 6 team race with 3 clearly ahead, and it's the 3 everyone's been talking about. It's Miami, Cleveland, and Golden State, with a couple others throwing their hat in the ring. Denver was mentioned obviously by Wendy yesterday, and I think Sixers would be really, really fun. But I still just imagine that those 3 are worlds ahead of the other 27 in the league when you're looking at where LeBron will play next year.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone, and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
One number I like to mention, just to hammer home how bad it has been at GABP, is the number of Reds wins since May 1st. 21. They've only won 21 games since May 1st. They're 21-38 on the season, if the season began May 1st, right? 20-11 in April. So they've matched their April win total finally. Welcome back to First Word, by the way. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. So they've matched that win total and beat it by a whopping 1 in the 2 months and a week plus since April and starting 20-11. So let's take a look at their playoff odds. 16.5 back in the Central. They're 8 games back in the wild card. And you look at that. Don't look down your noses, not that Reds fans are, at the Giants or the Rockies or even the Mets or the Nationals or the Padres or whoever else, because the Reds, 2.2%. According to Fangraphs, their chances and their odds of making the playoffs right now, among the worst teams in the league. Only 4 teams in baseball have a lower chance. The Royals, the Angels, the Giants, and the Rockies.
I remember specifically talking about 3 of those 4 teams as series at the beginning of this season the Reds should win. Series where the Reds should be significantly better than these teams, where they could set themselves apart from that bottom tier of Major League Baseball. They didn't do that. We talked about that after the Royals series, after the Angels series, really as it snowballed throughout the summer. And now looking at the playoff odds, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get much better. I think at this point the Reds just are in that group until they prove that they aren't. Instead of trying to separate yourself positively from them, now you're stuck down there. And now you have to prove that you're not the Rockies and you're not the Giants and you're not the Royals. And there's a little bit more hope for this franchise right now, because the biggest difference between the Reds and those other 4 teams, with the exception of the Royals, is the young, exciting talent here in Cincinnati. That's not the case in a lot of these other teams. The Giants are talking about unloading over $400 million of contracts at the deadline because they want to tear it down and rebuild. That's not where the Reds are right now. This is supposed to be the core that's competing for this Reds team. And to be sitting here on the 8th, 2.2% chance to make the playoffs, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and Fangraph's known to be very accurate in different data that they have posted over the years. And you mentioned you don't want to be grouped in, conversation with teams like that. Well, only the Royals, Mets, and Rockies have a worse run differential on the season than the Reds. And you look at the other teams that have about the same kind of, playoff odds right now, and it's like the Angels have the same run differential. So do, the Giants in there too. So just tough pill to swallow.
It's not a fluke.
Not a fluke. We'll continue the conversation with a little buy or sell next, right here on First Word. But look here, loose ball, Caitlin Clark passes it, gets hit in the throat, and nothing called there.
Refs didn't see it, James.
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
The ball's out of her hands, and then she gets hit, full body weight landed on, and this is going to be a huge story, and it should be, because Caitlin Clark is a star. And when I say that, I've seen WNBA, not insiders, but people that follow the WNBA much closer than I do, say, oh, well, she's not the best player in the league. I do not care. I don't care if she's the best player in the league. She's the biggest star in the league. It's not particularly close. And so when it's a very similar conversation, to pull it local, to Joe Burrow. When Joe Burrow gets hit and he gets slammed and he gets all these things, and it's been a topic, I've said 2 things. 1, what in the world are the officials doing? 2, teammates need to step up and defend him. I feel the same way about Caitlin Clark. And this continues to be a theme, continues to be a discussion. And, I mean, you saw it. There's no way that should be legal. And it wasn't the only time that happened. She also hurt her back later in the game when she was coming down from a 3-point attempt. And so, man, this is going to be a huge topic. I would not be surprised if the WNBA acts swiftly for sure. And so when I see off-season winners lists, I always expect, just naturally, oh, well, the Bengals will be on it. Maybe they're not 1 or 2. The Bengals are going to be on the list. They'll be in the top 5, certainly, because they should be. They added some key pieces. It would make sense. Well, not according to Josh Edwards. Let's take a look at this list here, courtesy of CBS Sports, where, wait, the Bengals they didn't even have the best offseason for an Ohio team? That, according to this CBS Sports ranking, the Browns lead the way, followed by the Raiders, Jets, Rams, Titans, and we're going to break this down. Then the Chiefs, Panthers, Commanders, Texans, 49ers. Look, Jacob, when I see this, the fact that the Bengals are nowhere to be found is shocking to me, especially when you look at a lot of those teams. I'd be stunned if the Bengals weren't far better than them. But when you look at where they were last year, a 6-win team, there's a reason expectations are really high. There's a reason why they're right there with the Ravens in the mix to win the AFC North from an odds standpoint. It's because they added a lot of pieces this offseason. I don't know how you can look at that and say they didn't have a top 10 offseason for what they did this offseason.
Hey, I'm Marisa Contipelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Welcome to First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show, breaking down the biggest moments and the stories shaping Cincinnati sports with analysis that cuts through. First Word, setting the agenda in Cincinnati sports.
Welcome in to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. It's a hump day edition of First Word, and we are live on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network, live on YouTube, streaming as well on X, on Facebook. So make sure you follow at First Word Cincy and take us with you on the go as well, wherever you get your podcast. That's Apple, that's Spotify, and it isn't just us. No. The entire Crown Network can be found on demand. It starts with the Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, noon to 1, because that's a guy that knows somebody right here on the Crown. Nat Tries That. Dirt Bike Edition is live on her YouTube channel right now, The Nat Jones Show. And Paul Fritchner in the Rebound Rundown with the latest on the court case that I don't understand, that he does understand, and that's why you got to subscribe to the Rebound Rundown. Yeah, let's legal Paul. Paul knows ball.
Better call Paul.
Better call.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Let's do it. It's real easy to do. I need to watch that. Yeah, I'm not pulling up
Last
the phone.
time, bad news.
No, not bad news. We're not getting into that. Not touching the phone. I'm going to leave the phone down there. Here's what I will do, though. I will gear us up for a little buy or sell involving Kyle Schwarber and Elly De La Cruz. And we dove into the Kyle Schwarber discussion earlier in the show. Let's push it forward now, because Elly De La Cruz is the face of the Reds franchise right now. He's certainly the biggest star in Reds colors here, and he's under contract for the next few years. So let's dive in first from a Kyle Schwarber standpoint. It's on record. The Reds went after Kyle Schwarber. They wanted Kyle Schwarber. They didn't get him. Let's start with the Gordon Whitmire quote that Kyle Schwarber had sources saying that, Schwarber was, questioning whether or not the Reds would have the resources to keep a competitive team on the field for the duration of his contract. So much of their payroll was tied up in him, and he was negotiating a 5-year deal with the Reds. Well, this is what's interesting. Elly De La Cruz, according to Gordon Whitmire, thought it was done. Bryce Harper thought it was done. You mentioned Zach Wheeler thought it was done, where Kyle Schwarber would go. He's from Middletown. Go from the Phillies to the Reds in November and sign with the Cincinnati Reds. Do you buy or sell that the Reds not getting it done with Schwarber, with Elly De La Cruz saying, hey, I thought it was done, is going to impact Elly De La Cruz's future in his negotiations and his discussions about a long-term deal with the Cincinnati Reds?
With the rules as they're currently written in Major League Baseball, I absolutely think it will. Now, all of that could change with a salary cap or a salary floor that is implemented before Elly reaches these contract conversations. Still 3.5 years of team control here, and those conversations are progressing basically weekly, if not monthly at this point, to get a floor and a cap in for the next collective bargaining agreement. So that would change for these small market teams the ability to retain these stars and the conversations around it pretty drastically. So operating under the current rules, I absolutely think this ripples down to Elly, because why wouldn't you have the same questions Schwarber had? If Elly's signing a contract, it's bigger than the one Schwarber just signed. It's also longer than the one Schwarber just signed. Schwarber was worried about coming here for 5 years because Elly's contract was up before and there wasn't a commitment to necessarily keep this core and add to this roster, or not, at least not one that he felt comfortable with. And I feel like if you're in Elly's shoes at this point, you're talking about a 10 or 12-year deal, maybe at the short end 8 years, which is still a significant chunk of someone's career, and it would be the biggest payday of his career. You're signing away your prime essentially at that point, and that's why these contracts are so big for these star players. I don't know how you couldn't have the same questions if you're Elly. And when these things have popped up, when you have a cheap deal and the Reds still can't add that talent, how could you expect that they can when you're getting paid 10 times as much as you're getting paid this year?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely could affect Elly, and when that time comes, and it makes you wonder, too, just how much has Elly talked to Schwarber about this? And in the article, it mentioned that they ran into each other when Schwarber was on his way out from those meetings in November. So what all has been said, you know, between the two of them, and how much has Schwarber shared with Elly, just his experience with the contract negotiations and all that kind of goes into that, would definitely have, you know, a bit of cause for concern that Elly might experience something similar. And especially, you brought this up earlier, Jacob, if the biggest cause of concern for Schwarber's team and him was the vision long term, you have to imagine, like you said, Elly's contract is going to be longer. And if Elly has some of those same hesitations or concerns, then yeah, this absolutely could come into play.
The other side of the coin that's frustrating is the exact flip of this conversation. You don't have to have these conversations with Elly for another 2-3 years. If you do bring in a Kyle Schwarber this offseason, if you do add to this roster, if you make sweeping changes to a roster that gets them into contention this season while Elly's still on that rookie deal, these conversations probably never even come up with an Elly contract extension because you've proven it already when he's been cheap. And I think that's the frustrating thing, is the Reds have missed that opportunity so far. We're now at the point where you have to talk about extensions and potentially, God forbid, moving him at some point in the next couple of years for a prospect haul because the Reds can't extend him. Now, you could have solved a lot of that over the last few years by either getting in front of it, like a lot of these other marquee prospects on small market teams have, or adding to this roster to convince him when he does sign that big contract, there will be a continued commitment to winning.
This is all about getting Elly, and I think as much as anything, assuming he is open to being in Cincinnati, which for all we know, he is. Yeah. Like, there's no reason to assume otherwise until we hear that. Convincing him that your vision is a winning one. And it's really that simple. And that's what's alarming about the Kyle Schwarber part of this, because I do think that if Kyle thought, hey, it's my best chance to win, long term, I'm going to partner up with Elly De La Cruz, and they have Hunter Green on a great deal, and they have a lot of promising young talent from Rhett Lauder to Chase Burns, like guys you can believe in, this is where I'm going to go. And I'm going to help be the answer, and I'm going to bring a World Series to my favorite team growing up, because I didn't see that 1990 team, and I want to be part of that solution. Like, I think it's an easy's the wrong word. It's a simple sell if you can sell him on that. And so if I'm Elly, I'm looking at it, and we're 41-49. The moment Hunter gets hurt, things just seem to start to spiral, and then wait, they're good in April, and the run differential's bad, and it was just a tease. And you're looking at it like, all right, well, we have the 25th best minor league system according to this ranking that I see. They're struggling on the field in a huge way. Only won 21 games over the past 2+ months. Like, if I'm Elly, I need to believe that I can win here, and I think that's it. It's very Joe Burrow-esque, where I think Joe's going to sign a contract extension with the Bengals next offseason. Maybe not, but that's how I feel. A year ago, I would not have said that with as much confidence. This offseason, to me, probably gives that a much better chance. For Elly, why would he believe in this team? It's not like they have the 5th-ranked farm system, by the way, and that was ESPN came out with that 25th-ranked one, I believe it was.
Baseball America.
Baseball America.
Both had rankings, both in the bottom 5.
There you go. So it's not like you could say, hey, Elly, here's the future. And he looked and he's like, well, I thought the Kyle Schwarber thing was done, and it's not. And now he has 31 home runs. By the way, in this article, Dusty Baker said he might have hit 72 home runs in Cincy. So I think that's a fun one to think. Like, if you're Elly, you have to believe that you have a chance at winning, at playing on the biggest stage, because that's how you're going to become a star, a gigantic star. And so that's it. That's the path. So if I'm the Reds, that's what I'm thinking. If you want to keep Elly De La Cruz, and part of that is the CBA, and you're going to need the CBA to go in your favor because you're not going to sign him to a 12-year deal. But even if that goes in your favor, he needs to believe now, hey, I can win here. I can be a star here. Otherwise, he's just going to say, you know what, I'm going to test free agency when it's time. And so it's very if there's a new CBA and there is a floor and a cap and all of those things, then it's a very Joe Burrow-esque arrangement where you need to show Elly, hey, this is where you're going to win. This is where you can shine bright, not just be an all-star, but be one of the biggest stars in baseball because we're going to put you on the biggest stages.
Yeah, I like to think that the Schwarber conversation didn't just come down to a few $1 million. I think if the Reds did have a better plan and could really sell it, I truly do believe that Schwarber would be here in a Reds uniform this season. I will say,
because if you're making a decision between two teams and you feel like you have a chance to win, I know a couple million sounds like a lot to a lot of people. We're talking about $100 million+ contract that's fully guaranteed. So 125 versus 135.
Right. And as soon as Kyle Schwarber takes the meeting with the Reds instead of the Phillies, he is not doing it for money. That's the other thing.
No doubt.
The Reds are not going to be able to compete with the Phillies on the open market for a contract. They certainly got close, but it's not a money decision. And I think that's the thing with the new CBA that is a huge worry for teams like the Reds that have been pointing to money for a long time. Because if it's truly the plan that turned Kyle Schwarber away from this team, then evening out the contracts that can be offered from the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets and the Blue Jays to teams like the Reds doesn't change anything.
Correct.
You can no longer point to money. You can no longer say we're not playing with the big boys. They have other advantages that we don't have. It's not true anymore if this comes in.
Overpaying.
Exactly. And that's the word.
And now Trey Waynes is on a 3-year deal for $40+ million.
Right.
You know, like the DJ Reader one worked out, but they had to make him the highest paid nose tackle in football to get him in.
Yeah.
Why? Because they were awful in 2019 and they were trending in the wrong direction for multiple years. And like, that's it. Like if you're that in baseball, it's a tough spot to be because the last thing we need is the Reds overpaying to get guys, and they've had to do that. Jamer Candelario. I don't think anyone else is offering that deal, and it blew up in their face. Like, that's why the Kyle Schwarber one, like tying it all back, is so painful.
Right.
Because it felt like it was a good investment. Because worst case, he's going to hit a bunch of home runs at GABP. Worst case, oh man, that stinks. Like, no, it was an easy one. It was a simple decision that they didn't get done, and I do think that whether or not they believe it, is going to impact Elly and be in the back of Elly's mind, at least some, when it comes to their plan to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the timeline of the collective bargaining agreement could potentially save the Reds on this. In terms of the floor is, the numbers being thrown around for a floor are upwards of $170 million at this point. The Reds have not cleared that in terms of a year-end payroll in over a decade now for this team. And right now with the timelines of it, the Reds could potentially be forced to extend this young core. Sal Stewart will be on contract at that point. Chase Burns, Hunter Green, Elly De La Cruz, maybe not all four of them, but certainly incentivizes you to keep the good talent home instead of go trying to overpay for free agents if that floor does come in. So in a way where the conversation over the last 3 seasons with this Elly De La Cruz, Matt McLain core that came up was it's going to be really hard to extend all these guys. Now looking at it at the contracts and how it lines up with some of these negotiations, the Reds could potentially get lucky with this timeline in terms of essentially forcing them to extend these players for the new established market value.
They can extend these players, and that would be a great thing, but they're still going to have to go out and sign and bring in others. I mean, nice. You look right now, you mentioned the farm system. Who's down there that's coming up to make a big impact on this team?
Oh, yeah.
The list is kind of small.
Yeah, I think we had Sam Dykstra on yesterday.
Yeah.
3 in the top 100.
Right.
One of those guys is like 6 years younger than Jacob.
Right? One of those guys is here.
And one of those guys is here. And the other guy is a year and a half away from starting every day, at least.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you have the next Elly right there. And people are going to bring up, what's his name? He's hitting a bunch of home runs right now. Like Hector. Yeah, we'll see.
He's not a top 100 prospect.
Like, that's what I mean. We didn't even ask Sam Dykstra about him. Like, he's being brought up. Yeah. Like, we didn't even ask him about him, really, because it's like, yeah, like, maybe he'll help you a little, but there's a reason he's not in the top 100.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like reinforcements are coming from within this organization right now, unless there's some big shockers on either timelines or immediate progression that surprises from what we've seen so far. So this team's going to have to make some outside additions to this team and get lucky at some points. You're going to need the J.J. Bledays and the Nathaniel Lowe signings of the next few years to continue to hit in order to field a lineup that's better than league average. And I think a big start to that is Saturday with the MLB draft. The Reds are going to have to get these picks right because this farm system is as barren as it's been really since this core was elevated. And you're picking 18th coming up this weekend. The Reds are going to have to get that right and add something to replenish this farm system with someone. You can't take boom or bust prospects when the prospect field is this barren.
To put a bow on it, in this, again, courtesy of Gordon Wittenmeyer of the Enquirer, I thought we were going to get him. Red Star shortstop Elly De La Cruz said that was going to be fun. That in February, talking about Kyle Schwarber, who had the game clinching, game sealing, whatever you want to say, a big home run in yesterday's Phillies 4-1 win over the Reds. We have more Reds on the way. It is Chase Burns Day. It's party day at GABP. We'll get into that, plus plenty of Bengals on the way as well. Just getting started on a hump day edition of First Word right here on The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First Word for your morning sports, the working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Hi, my name is Elly Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
And yet, I think that there are Bengals fans that will see him in a Ravens uniform and strictly say, oh, this is the washed version of Trey Hendrickson. This is the well past this prime Trey Hendrickson. This is the guy that is going to cost the Ravens. I'm not saying that, to be clear. I do have thoughts, though. But first, Jacob Tissot, your thoughts. Is Trey washed when you see these photos?
Can I say it?
You can say whatever you want.
He looks washed in the photos. I mean, this is Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Garnett. This is Tennessee Titans, Julio Jones. Ravens, DeAndre Hopkins, if you will. It's just that end of the career jersey guy that just doesn't look right. And maybe that's partially because he was playing for the Bengals in so many big games against the Ravens. It's still not quite clicking for me that he's in Baltimore. It's going to be weird to see him suit up there week one. But
Seahawks TO.
All of these, before my time, but absolutely a Seahawks TO comp there. Celtics Shaq, Cavs Shaq, Suns Shaq. All the Shaqs. Yeah, I mean, he's in that group for me when I see these pictures. And
Magic Patrick Ewing.
Magic Patrick Ewing is a great shout. Yeah, that's a big one for sure. But I think Trey is getting there, and maybe that can obviously be quelled with any kind of significant production this year, which I think he certainly still has some juice off the edge. We'll get into some stat predictions later. But when I saw those pictures, it really shocked me how washed I thought he looked going into next year. My name's Jacob Tissot, and I'm a co-host of First Word from 7 to 11 every morning right here on the Crown Network, where we will break down the biggest stories in Cincinnati sports. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, where I spent 4 seasons working for the football team as a student assistant, contributing to the 2020 National Championship and 3 SEC championships. I'm a Cincinnati native, a St. Xavier High School graduate, and will bring a local perspective and passion to covering the Bengals, Reds, and everything in between. I'm excited to have you join us on First Word.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
LeBron Watch 2026 continues. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa. LeBron needs to be in Cleveland, Contipelli, and Jacob Tissot.
Is that hyphenated or is that one word?
It's one word.
I think it should be LeBron will be in Cleveland, Contipelli.
No, you need it to happen. Not sure it's going to happen.
I think I need it to happen. She wants it to happen.
Yes.
I don't think you need it to happen at all. I think you need it to be Indy.
I need it to just not be Golden State.
Yeah, for me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So that side of the desk roots against me. And by the way, the longer this goes, the longer this drags out, the more Golden State is in play. I'll say that.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. So
no question.
If it's Cleveland, it'll be this week. I think. If it drags out another 3 weeks, unless they make some crazy, why would he wait?
Because he's LeBron, and everyone's talking about him every day, and it's probably really fun. Rich Paul's podcast is getting millions of views.
Why did we speculate that LeBron left the Lakers? Because he wasn't feeling loved and valued? Well, everyone's talking about him, and he's feeling that value right now.
I love and value LeBron.
I know you do. All right, let's start there. You think Cavs still? Cavs for sure?
Yes.
Yeah. First off, the fact that Cleveland, who is so insecure about Donovan Mitchell, and this is how we're going to talk about Donovan Mitchell, so insecure about him that his future's been discussed a ton. And as of yesterday, people that cover the team before that extension were like, yeah, we'll see what Donovan does. And of course he agreed to it. But are like, oh yes, of course LeBron's coming back. It's just a wild stance. Like maybe he is. No one knows, including everybody in Cleveland.
So why are we saying we're being insecure about Mitchell in Cleveland? All Donovan has said is that he wants to be a Cav. He wants to be in Cleveland. He calls it home.
Oh, I agree. If you follow anyone up there, everyone has talked about, all right, well, should they trade Mitchell? Should they keep Mitchell? Is it right to build around Mitchell? All of these things. I would have done that if I'm them. And I would have been confident that he was going to stay. Why wouldn't he? It's better than what he had in Utah. They clearly have a flawed roster. They made a really dumb trade for James Harden. But if I'm Donovan and I can get $70 million per year in 2030, am I agreeing to that deal now? Of course I am. So, I understand why Donovan's comfortable in Cleveland. But I do think that, his future is speculated, obviously nationally, but locally as well. I just don't think it's this slam dunk right now that LeBron is definitely going. Maybe he is. Richard Jefferson today said on something oh, he told me what he's doing. I don't think he told Richard what he's doing. I think that's Richard saying that LeBron told him what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know if I think the Cavs are significantly more likely than any one destination. If that's not over 50%, then maybe that's fine.
I get that. And it may be Cleveland. I don't think it's decided right now. I think that's part of this. Is he's and maybe it's as simple as he went into this I'm not going to make a decision the first or second week of July. Maybe it is that simple. And they're let's eat it up a little bit.
Well, he's got to get every GM on his agent's podcast to pitch the best possible lineups. Bob Myers, Sixers GM, just joined Rich Paul, Max Kellerman on the podcast to pitch the fit with the Sixers. I have never seen anything like this for an offseason. It's a great fit, but to go from whiteboard to GMs on podcasts giving pitches to agents, this is incredibly unique, even for a LeBron offseason.
At the end of the day, I'm going to listen to Brian Windhorst, and he keeps saying he's feeling like it's Cleveland vibes are pointing towards Cleveland. He tends to be right on these things.
He also says he has no idea, just to be clear.
Vibes are pointing that way.
Every team he talks to says they're scared of Cleveland.
No doubt. Because of that. That's what I mean. I think nobody knows. And so everyone's making their pitch and doing those things. And I think Philly has a real case. And it's because of the Jaylen Brown trade, because this buffoon Brad Stevens, as genius as he is, making this trade. I don't care analytically, not analytically, doesn't matter. There's no way that Boston Celtics should have traded Jaylen Brown for Paul George and 2 first-round picks. Here's Brad Stevens on the trade.
The unbelievable way we've played in the regular season in the last couple years. The path looked a little bit more challenging to me. I might be wrong. I'm not going to stand up here and be defensive about that. But the path looked a little bit more challenging with 70% of our cap and such a high percent of our usage tied into 2 players. And the reality in this era and in this day and age of the NBA, and you could see it obviously with the last couple of champions and some of the teams that were at the very top of the league when it was all said and done at the end of this year, is that You know, you have to do a great job, and you have to have the optionality to do a great job of building out depth that can hopefully replace the irreplaceable individual.
Do you have any other, do you guys understand this deal now, a week removed? Does it make sense to you? Do you like it?
Yeah. I
like it?
I don't necessarily like it. I think it makes sense. I think when a trade of this comes out, and it's this confusing, then certainly there's fractures in the locker room, and we've continued to see that kind of drum up from Jason Tatum. He says publicly he's frustrated about the trade. I don't think this trade happens unless Jason Tatum signs off on it. So I certainly think there's some kind of fracture in the locker room, and I'm not a Jaylen Brown guy. I don't think Jaylen Brown can be the lead option on a championship team. He wasn't when the Celtics won, even though he won the Finals MVP. It was certainly Jason Tatum. Celtics have been better when he's been on the bench than when he's been on the floor, and part of that's because of their rotation, and certainly Jaylen Brown is an all-star and an all-NBA caliber player in the league. I don't think he's a 1A. So I think when he's making a contract, he's making an extension is on the table this offseason. Most of the teams in the league were not interested in giving up the assets that would make a trade make sense for Jaylen Brown, and I do not think the Celtics even considered keeping him on the roster for next season. So it makes sense to me if you can get picks and an expiring contract to match after 2 years.
When there's locker
After
room,
2 years, saying expiring contract after 2 years is insane.
Jaylen Brown has 2 extra years than Paul George does.
Yeah, Paul George is the oldest person in this room, not Rodney.
They won't win less than 5-game difference.
Yeah, it's just injury history. It's a crazy asset to pretend that Jaylen Brown making $80 million is better than Paul George on his contract.
Heavily disagree.
It's insane. Just an awful, awful deal. And it is why the 76ers are contending with Marisa's Cavs now. It's why they're mentioned, is because of that.
That's certainly why they're mentioned.
They wouldn't have been mentioned before. Right. And they shed one of the worst deals in the league at Paul George, who was the second worst contract in the NBA behind Joel Embiid. And now maybe they can try to shed Joel Embiid to woo LeBron. Because I don't think LeBron is signing up to play with Joel Embiid. Who knows? But your thoughts on the Jaylen Brown trade?
Yeah, I mean, when you have locker room issues, you have to address it in some way. I just think they could have gotten a significantly higher haul than what they did. And I think they could have shopped around a little bit longer. I know the Cavs would have been interested, and there are a handful of other teams that probably could have put a little bit better package together than what they got.
But you have to match the contract. Like, you're not trading Evan Mobley for Jaylen Brown. There's no other contract that can match unless I guess you throw Harden in there. I'd certainly rather have Paul George on the Celtics than Harden next year. So I think the packages get really hard when you talk about teams will be interested, and they also have to match the contract.
Here's the other thing. Philly was never not going to offer Paul George in 2 months for Jaylen Brown.
Oh, absolutely.
They would have done it 3 months from now, before the deadline. You could have done it whenever. Now, if you don't want to go into the season with it, fine. I wouldn't have done it now. We'll see if it works out. He's 36, going to be 37, has been in the league for forever. He's going to be the guy that stands in the corner now. That's him, and you're paying him a lot of money to do that, and all you got was a couple measly first-round picks that shouldn't be that valuable. Other than that, there's another guy, speaking of standing in the corner, DeMar DeRozan may be standing in the corner. Is it in Miami? Is it in Cleveland? Is it wherever LeBron ends up? DeMar DeRozan waived by the Sacramento Kings, and I do think that he can still play. I think he's an interesting piece, especially for a team like the Heat that doesn't have a lot of money to play with.
Yeah, stand in the corner for sure, but just a few steps inside the three-point line.
No doubt.
He's a midi killer. I love DeMar DeRozan, certainly was a great player. In Toronto, I do wonder how much is left for him, though. He's never been the best defender. He wasn't taking a ton of shots last year, even though he was a high-scoring player. So I'm wondering how much is left for him. I would almost go the other way with the Cavs and Heat as the two teams listed so far. I think he might go wherever LeBron does not end up in terms of having a slightly bigger role off the bench. I think Miami makes the most sense, but if the Cavs miss out on LeBron, I think it's certainly a solid addition for them as well. So either way, whether he's teaming up with LeBron or going the other way, I think it's two good landing spots for DeRozan.
Yeah, I think there's still plenty left in the tank for him. I mean, you mentioned he took 125 fewer, or made 125 fewer field goals than he did the year before, but his percentage was higher. Yeah. So he's still shooting at a good rate and can absolutely give great contributions to one of these contending teams.
If he somehow signed with the Pacers, Jacob would be all in. He'd get a DeMar DeRozan jersey. He'd be a great bench piece. He'd be ready to go. Yeah, I think any contender should be interested because of the bench factor.
Absolutely.
Worst case, he's a microwave scorer off the bench. Okay, well, every team can use that, and that's something that's valuable. I do think he fits with LeBron. He might not be on the court with LeBron a ton, but if I'm the Cavs, and you can swap out who is it? It's Strus, and who's the other one that they're that they need to do?
Schroeder.
Yeah, so Strus and Schroeder, and you get LeBron instead of insert whoever, right?
But you got to keep that extra roster spot open for Bronny, too.
Instead of Kuminga, who they've been mentioned for, let's say Kuminga signs elsewhere, you get DeRozan, and it's LeBron and DeRozan. Like, okay, like I can work with that. That makes sense to me.
Would you rather have DeRozan than Kuminga?
Am I, as a contender? Yeah, yes.
I don't know. That's really close for me.
If Kuminga
if it ever clicks for him, though. It hasn't yet, but if it ever does.
Atlanta traded for him, hoping that it would click.
You've watched him up close and personal.
A really smart coach in Atlanta. Like, it's not just Golden State now, because you could be like, oh, well, it didn't work in Golden State. Well, it didn't work there either. At some point, But plenty of NBA to get to. Hey, if LeBron signs during the show, we will certainly have that for you. But up next, it is time for Contipelli's Countdown. Will LeBron be mentioned? We'll get to that next right here on First Word. So, over, under 3,000 yards receiving for both Jamar and T combined this season. Oh, come on.
I can't. How
Come
am I?
on.
You guys.
You? What do you mean, you guys?
3,000 yards. The most that they've ever combined in their careers together, exactly, was just over 2,600. So you're telling me, where are these other 400 yards coming from? When you have an offense that needs to feed Mike Gesicki, you need to feed. You're not going to feed Mike Gesicki?
Not if I can feed T and Jamar. But needs is relative. Needs, not Mike. Don't make it about Mike. The word needs is what stood out.
Well, you need to feed Chase Brown. That I will stand by that one.
That's fair.
But no, you have so many offensive, options on this team. T and Jamar are going to be double teamed at times too. So there's that factor in it as well. However, this is also a team where we're expecting to be good, to be better this season, to be playing ahead with leads. They're going to be running the ball a lot more later in games. At least I'm expecting them to. I'm hoping they are, because if they're down and they're throwing, then there are other problems at hand. I realistically don't see them getting over that 3,000 mark. I could see them getting between 2,700, 2,800, but not over 3.
Wow. So you think they're going to get really close?
I think they'll be close. I just don't think they'll get over.
The city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapien, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
Hello, my name is Natalie Jones, and welcome to the Nat Jones Show. After retiring from my 10-year radio career here in Cincinnati, I caught the bug, and I'm happy to bring it here to the Crown. I love captivating people who have captivating stories to tell. And the thing about it is, everybody has a story to tell. All you got to do is empower them to do so. That is exactly what I'm doing here. Because life is better when we all stay curious and we all stay connected.
Cincinnati means business. And what does that mean for you and your community? The Working Lunch, every weekday at noon, takes you behind the local business scene with local headlines, interviews with owners and local leaders. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
First word rolls on, and Jacob Tissot is a Knicks hater. Welcome back. I'm James Rapien. He's Jacob Tissot, and Marisa Contipelli is here for one of our favorite times of the show, Contipelli's Countdown.
That's right. And kicking off Countdown today, I watched this play last night on X probably about 50 times. It's one of the most mind-baffling, absurd plays I think I've ever witnessed in a Major League Baseball game. So Carson Bench had the little infield grounder there. They overthrew first base. Well, then the first baseman's going to overthrow I don't even know where he was throwing that pitch. Oh, and then we're going to overthrow home. And then next thing you know, Carson Bench comes around to score. The ball never left the infield. Guys, it's the Mets. This is just a summary of the Mets season. But what might be even more absurd than that is that the Mets ended up losing this game 16-12.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, because my first concern was how is this play in a Mets game and the Mets are benefiting? It has happened all year long, and it's always the Mets throwing the ball all around the field. So it makes sense that they ended up losing. This is classic Mets still somehow, even though it was the Royals.
Yeah. What is going on? Show that again if you can. This is like
so bad.
Not whole if the kids have never picked up a baseball bat.
A Little League home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even really
But if the fielders
just throw it better.
Don't even throw it.
Yeah, just eat it.
What are you doing?
Once he makes it to third, just chalk up your losses.
Yeah. I mean, that's an easy one. So, all right, bad throw. We see that all the time. He's going to. All right, so bring it in. Instead, you just throw. Like
that one right
the
there.
throw.
That's
split the difference from
That's
third base
the
and home
throw.
plate.
He should be benched for a week. Who threw that?
Caglione.
A week. You're out. It's over. You're done. You can come sit here on Countdown because there's no way in hell you should be on a baseball field.
I'll take him in Cincinnati.
Not to play defense. What was that throw?
Fair.
Poor decision. Very, very poor decision. That's where you eat it. That's where all the chaos started. One error is one error.
Well,
you don't just get loose with the ball.
We're going to call that a Little League home run,
Keely
which
Smith.
we won't be seeing any of those in the home run derby. What we will be seeing is Ben Rice. He has 26 home runs for the Yankees this season and thought this was a pretty cool way. He announced he would be participating in the home run derby with a cute little video of him and his dad taking some of their first practice rounds when he was a kid, and believe his dad will be pitching to him at the home run derby, which makes this even that much cooler of an awesome opportunity for him.
That's who I pick who to take in the home run derby, who has their dad pitching to him, because you've taken the most BP from it. As soon as I saw this, I sent it to Marissa. I thought this was one of the coolest things about the home run derby really every single year is these clips that get posted when people get the announcement. I think anytime people get to accomplish their dream and you kind of see the path that they took to get there, it puts everything in a little bit different perspective. And you see Rice there, maybe even wearing a Yankees jersey. There's some lettering there on the left. Looks like pinstripes, might be, but either way, very cool to see Ben Rice in the home run derby, and even cooler to see a video like this.
Yeah, it's awesome. I wish those 27 home runs were at GABP. That's what I have to say. And easy to root for. Love that he posted it, and hopefully he performs well, because obviously it's going to mean a lot to him and his family.
Yeah, catcher that's been switched to first base and DH full-time this year, and he's having the best year of his career. So incredible for him.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to seeing him participate in the Derby along with the rest of the list of participants when that will be announced. Also looking forward to this Friday because FC Cincinnati will be hosting Burnley FC in an international friendly, and one of the owners of Burnley is JJ Watts, and JJ posted this video as a little preview of kind of maybe what we can expect on Friday.
All right, we have got the Burnley boys headed over to America. Actually, they just landed here today, so they are in America. Friday night, we play FC Cincinnati at TQL Stadium. Have heard nothing but great things about TQL Stadium, about Cincinnati supporters. Have heard they're a crazy fan base. Very much looking forward to seeing it myself. Will not be eating Skyline. A lot of respect for it. I really appreciate the nostalgia, the history. I know people love it. I don't. Not for me. I will be having some Grater's ice cream. I will be having some Montgomery and barbecue, and I'm happy to try anything else you Cincinnati folks want to throw my way. But we're going there. Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets now, TQL Stadium. And then we're headed off to Columbus to face the Crew. Then we're headed off to Utah to face Real Salt Lake. So going to be a great American tour. Burnley boys on American soil. Get your tickets now. Up the Clarets. All right, we have got the Burnley boys headed over to America.
JJ, we will get you Graders and Montgomery in right here at the desk if we can get you on the show while you're in town. But what do you guys think of the Skyline take? That was my big takeaway from that.
I would go out on a limb here and say he doesn't respect Skyline, even though he clearly said he did.
The
because
nostalgia.
He's not going to eat it. Show some respect. Have some chili.
1, 2. We'll see if he actually even tried it. That's
yeah.
Not sure that J.J. Watt, when he's coming here with Houston, tried the chili. So I'm going to throw that out there.
You think that sparked his playoff performance?
No, those are both in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Andy Dalton isn't going to walk through that door, JJ. You can let your guard down a little bit. Notice anything different about JJ? Those pearly whites, man. I noticed them. Congrats, JJ. He definitely has some pearly whites. Look, I hope you can come on the show those off, and we can talk about your food takes because there's a lot more. Love everything you mentioned, and Graders is definitely the go-to ice cream wise. But we got to get you to try some Skyline. Try some Gold Star, try some Montgomery Inn, and maybe he's already had Montgomery Inn. But there's a few other restaurants as well that you need to try.
This office has had lunch at every possible restaurant within an even justifiable walking distance from here. So if he comes in for a segment, we can take him to some good spots.
Yeah, right. Yes. The answer is yes, JJ.
We will get the spread going, but really excited to see FC Cincinnati take the pitch Friday. They've been in the middle of this World Cup break, so finally getting back to action, getting back to form as they will resume second half play later on in July. Some other, players in the Cincinnati sports teams market are getting their work in, like DJ Turner posted this to his Instagram story yesterday saying, just keep working. It's the only option then on his X, and love to see DJ, getting that work in on the field, and I love that he's wearing that white Bengal helmet, guys.
Yeah, I love that all the guys, when they were leaving minicamp, they were taking their helmets, and DJ Turner obviously took the white Bengal helmet. He's going to have a huge year, and he's dialed in, he's focused, and he's going to make a lot of money, and it's either going to be between now and week 1, or it's going to be next off season, and it's that's it. I think this is just a reminder. He's working, he's focused. I'm hoping that he gets paid at some point during training camp. I don't think it'll happen before. Just a reminder, though, that paying DJ, it's a big step that the Bengals need to make.
Got to make it. I mean, look at those feet. That's a legit corner right there. He can flip those hips and the hands, too. Always watching the feet and corner videos, then a one-handed catch. And then a couple jump balls there. I mean, I can't wait for DJ Turner to take another jump this year. Last year, watching it all happen kind of in real time as the season progressed was one of the most fun storylines of the season. So, again, this year, just jumping right back into it. And hopefully now this year, he can get the Pro Bowl and the All-Pro and all that stuff he deserved last season, now that his name's been out there a little longer.
Yeah, if he builds on it, he's going to get all those accolades. It comes, and it will come with team success as well. Yes. If the Bengals defense is going to be good, guess what? DJ Turner's going to be a big reason why.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could have made me a little bit more excited for that is if he had the 0 on his chest there, because it looks so fresh, so clean that we saw over during OTAs.
Is that the number of touchdowns he's going to give up this year?
I think so. I think that's foreshadowing that.
All pro. If he does that, all pro. Just book it.
Exactly. But rounding out countdown today, I came across this on social yesterday, and Mookie Betts and Max Muncy were asked to make their perfect roster, make their perfect starting 9 that would go undefeated in an MLB regular season, and check out who their first selection was on their list.
I want to build a 162-0 MLB team. Cincinnati Reds.
I mean, I'm probably taking Elly.
Yeah, it's got to be Elly.
Yeah, we'll pick Elly. Shortstop. 2020s.
I thought this was absolutely phenomenal. Elly was the first selection for these guys, and they went through various different decades too. It wasn't just limited to current MLB players. Round out their entire list, their record ended up coming to an estimated 154-8 on the team that these two guys made.
Elly is an easy answer for a 2020s Red to fill a hole. That's certainly a layup there, and glad they got it right. I mean, he's certainly one of the best shortstops in baseball, no question about it, and certainly helps you get to 162-0. I've played that game quite a bit. He's a force in 162-0.
Do you take Elly?
Oh, yeah. 2020s Reds? Yes.
Okay. Chase Burns exists.
The way the game works, the sample size isn't big enough for those stats to carry.
All right. I'm just making sure. I thought that would be a big one. Who'd you throw the game out? Pick one.
What they've done in the 2020s so far, or the rest of the 2020s?
But you're also comparing it to other shortstops.
You're playing a game tomorrow.
Give me Elly.
All right. I'm just curious. Hunter doesn't have the sample size in that game.
Injuries. Ellie's distantly the best Red.
Gotcha. But not going to debate
Which is not a shock.
No, not a shock at all. I wish there was the debate. Kyle Schwarber, Elly De La Cruz. That would have been
a fun debate.
That would have been a fun one to have.
Oh well.
Thanks, Nick. I'm just kidding. It's not Nick's fault. Or it is. I don't know.
Well, that is certainly a debate and one that we will continue to have here on First Word, because coming up next, it's time to get to our What's the Word poll question of the day and see some of your responses and answers. That's straight ahead right here on The Crown. We're with you until 11 o'clock.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the working lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Speculation with free agency starting today that LeBron could team up with Steph Curry in Golden State and make me a very, very happy as a Steph Curry fan. Very, very excited. Meanwhile, Marisa Contipelli is about to walk off the set just with the idea and the thought of LeBron going to Golden State.
You know, oftentimes you can be dramatic and exaggerate things. You're not right now. This would literally be my nightmare as a Cavalier fan. I think I might boycott the NBA if LeBron somehow ends up in Golden State.
Oh my God, you can't boycott them. We're going to talk NBA here, Marissa. You can't boycott
Not if LeBron's in Golden State. I can't
She
do
just
it.
ignores the NBA
as a whole. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, they'd probably play all 82 games on national television, so it would be hard to avoid them throughout the season. Yeah, all I care about as we roll into NBA free agency is number 5. It's getting LeBron that 5th ring. And
Curry number 5.
Best chance to do it for both of them is to play together. Yep. So I would love to see him run for it. I would love to go chase number 5, and it's a pretty dangerous proposition to have James and I on the same side during NBA season this year.
Where's the broom?
Do we switch spots for NBA?
I think so. No, but I am all in on the Steph, Draymond, 80 LeBron Warriors.
My name is James Rapien, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining The Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, A History of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien, and I was just dancing, and it made Jacob Tissot laugh. Alongside Jacob Tissot, Marisa Contipelli. Marisa, not so much. No laughter. There's no laughter.
Usually your dance is like 95% arms.
Yeah.
That one was like 85% hips.
You never know what you're going to get.
Remarkable flip.
Just wild versus.
A diversified portfolio.
You get it.
A man who can do it all. Swiss Army knife.
Clip. Aaron, you got to clip those things that he just said because he doesn't mean them. But we need to have it on record. Let's dive into our What's the Word poll question of the day. Marissa's still not laughing, by the way. I'd like to point that out.
Can't force it.
I mean, she's just like, these dudes. Well, here's until 11 o'clock. Let's dive into the poll question of the day. Would the Reds be over 500 had they signed Kyle Schwarber? Well, they're 41-49 on the season, and the control room agrees with the majority. 33.2% say no, bad roster. 30.7% say yes, barely over 500. 21.6% say yes, playoff contenders. And 14.6% say no, but just under 500.
I think this is a fair split. I think the 21% that says playoff contenders, I think is maybe...
They're right. No, they're right. The 21% matches the number of wins they've had since May 1st, by the way.
Correct, which means they're not one player away from making the playoffs. So I think Kyle Schwarber would certainly help this roster, and the amount of production and consistency from him would be great to add to this lineup, but I think it adds 3 to 5 more wins or so to this team. So I think if they're not above 500, they're certainly right there. They're in the wild card hunt. They can keep fighting through the summer, and it's a lot more watchable of a baseball team with a lot more hope.
I'm with you. I don't think one player makes or breaks a team in that way. So I think if they had a Kyle Schwarber on this in this lineup, I think they would be around flirting with the 500 level, maybe a game or two over. I could also see a game or two under.
I think it's interesting, and I'm not pointing this out because you're wrong because it's fluid. It's in a season. But Jacob has been very bullish on the 85 win mark. Do you think the vibes, and a few weeks ago it certainly changed because they've continued to stink up the joint. Do you think that the vibes would still be trending that way for you, where you think, oh, well, does that make sense?
Yes,
we're in really
absolutely.
hypothetical land.
No, I'm with you.
But like 3 weeks ago on the show, you were like,
No
oh
question.
yeah, there's still probably going to be an 85 win team or in that range.
Right.
You think that with Schwarber, they could be tracking for that still?
Absolutely. So I think that's the biggest difference here is what the big free agent signing has done this season for the Reds. And that's the floor setter for this team because you don't have a lot of other big bats. Suarez was supposed to set the floor by adding 30 home runs minimum. 25 if it got really bad. Now we don't know if he's even going to get there. You flip that around and Schwarber has 30 before the All-Star break. I absolutely think that floor is higher. And then you can have Elly De La Cruz out for a couple weeks. You can have Sal Stewart have a month of a slump in his rookie season. You can have Hunter Green get hurt and it really ravage your rotation for a while. You can have the bullpen fall apart for weeks at a time, but you still have a floor of league average, and that's what 85 wins is. It means when you're healthy, you're a little bit better than league average. Other than that, you're basically a 500 baseball team, and I think that's exactly where this Reds team was completely healthy coming into the season. Didn't have any margin for error to fall below. Now they've fallen below, and I don't know if they have enough talent to get above, but Kyle Schwarber certainly would add a floor to the team that I think would absolutely keep them around there.
Yeah, man. And they'd be fun.
Fun. Really fun.
That's the other part of it is when you have a 162-game schedule. And why April was fun. Yeah, part of it was they were winning. The other part is Elly was doing his thing, and it felt like he was on pace to have the best season of his career. And Chase Burns was suddenly like this awesome ace-like player who's actually become an ace, right? And they were finding ways to win. Like, it was a mixture. It was fun. Right now, it's hard to watch. And that's the other, like, losing's one thing, and losing's tough. But when you have no confidence in your big free agent acquisition, the bases loaded, and the game on the line, 4-1 in the eighth, that's what's tough. That's what makes it really hard. Is you feel like you've seen this movie over and over and over again, and it's a really, really bad sequel. It's Grown Up 7. It's Benchwarmers 2, which I didn't even know existed until today's show when Jacob Tissot mentioned it to me. Who makes a Benchwarmers 2?
I don't know, man.
Well, that's what we're watching today. Chase Burns today, so it's a little different, but you know.
That's exciting. Certainly something to build on. Hopefully the Reds can get a win as they normally do when he's on the mound. But this series is going to be tough to see Kyle Schwarber stepping into the batter's box in Great American Ballpark, not wearing the jersey everyone here thinks he should be wearing.
Yeah, we talk so often how the Reds have missed opportunities, runners left on base. Well, this season, Schwarber's batting over 300 with runners on, and that would be a nice addition to the lineup.
Playoff contenders. That just hammered it home. Think about all those missed chances. All those opportunities, Gabe Ryan, as you count down in my ear, 1 minute. We have plenty to get to here on the show with you till 11 o'clock, including now. We've done a lot of Reds today. We just had countdown. We did some NBA as well. It's time to talk Bengals. We will talk Bengals. We're going to dive into Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, and much, much more next right here on First Wave.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
They wouldn't be one of the first 10 teams I listed to win this year's Super Bowl, and they have not been anywhere close in the last 3 seasons that have been played. It is surprising to me how much staying power that one win against the Chiefs has had.
All right. Worst word. And here's why it's the worst word. 1, put your fandom away. Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs fandom is nonsense. 2, this idea, Jets, Raiders, Titans, Cardinals, Giants, Falcons, Colts, Saints. If Drew Brees was playing in his prime for the Saints right now, guess what? Then you could compare the Bengals to the Saints. You're comparing all these teams that are hoping, praying, and may all be in on Brendan, so to speak, right? Outside of maybe the Raiders with Mendoza or whoever they had. But my point is none of them have a franchise quarterback. The Bengals not only have a franchise quarterback, they have a guy that Nick Wright apparently likes. No chance do you actually like Joe Burrow, because if you like Joe Burrow, you'd be aware that going head-to-head against your guy Mahomes, he's won more than he's lost. And that's it, is Joe Burrow going up against Josh Allen, Mahomes, insert whoever else you want. He's either won or going to have a really good chance of winning regardless of the defense, which you praised. And I think that's it. Why are all these shows talking about Joe Burrow? Because he is one of the best on the planet. Have they had some down years? Absolutely. But you can't deny that. You can't deny that Joe Burrow is in that conversation with all these other guys. And so, like today, who are you taking? Patrick Mahomes coming off of a torn ACL? Did you watch Mahomes last year? Joe Burrow, when he was out there, was better than Mahomes was last year. I know Burrow has the health issue. Fine. So you could say, the Bengals are really good, but Joe needs to stay healthy. Well, everybody knows that. This argument that they're one of 3 teams and then comparing them to the Falcons and all of these other, quite frankly, losers that can't figure out quarterback is unfair, because the Bengals have Joe Burrow and they don't, and sometimes it is that simple. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati, every single weekday, 7 to 11.
Right here on the Crown.
Let's keep it rolling with some Bengals conversation and plenty to dive into Bengals-wise. You were right, Jacob. Just smooth. I see you.
That was seamless.
I see you. That's what we do. That's what we do. It just took me 14 days, but we got there. And we get there every single day right here on First Word. Make sure you watch us live on X. Watch us live on Facebook as well at First Word Cincy. Of course, on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And check us out on the Rock Entertainment Sports Network every single weekday. Also, if you miss a show, no problem. Spotify, Apple, iHeart. And if you like to listen, well, you can listen live as well on Mixlr. To the Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, to us, noon to 1 and 7 to 11. And then, of course, check out the Rebound Rundown with Paul Fritchner and Nat Tries That. And a new Nat Jones show dropping today, all on the Crown. Let's dive into some Bengals. We've talked a lot of Reds today. Could Kyle Schwarber help the Bengals? No. All right, let's dive into Bengals conversation. And anytime it comes to the Bengals and fantasy football, you think of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You think about Marisa Contipelli's guy that you have to feed in Mike Gesicki. There are a lot of options.
Chase Brown.
And I think this offseason, for sure, Chase Brown. I just wanted to get that dig in at you. That's really not a dig because Mike Gesicki does help in fantasy. There's a reason we've spent all offseason talking about the defense and adding because everyone expects this offense to be awesome. And so when the Bengals ranked 9th overall for fantasy roster upside, I was a bit surprised by that, seeing that when you see these rankings, the Lions number 1, which I have some thoughts on, Rams, 49ers, Cowboys, Eagles, followed by the Bills, Ravens, Bears, Bengals, Colts. Colts 10 is interesting, and obviously it's player-based to a degree. But ESPN released these rankings. Which NFL squad has the most value? The Bengals 9th. Eric Carabell is the one that wrote this article. You think this is a fair assessment of the Bengals offense and their fantasy value?
No, I don't. I think the Bengals should be higher. And with this list, too, you have the 1 through 6 teams listed as 5 stars. And then the last 4 teams, the Ravens, Bears, Bengals, and Colts, listed as 4 stars. So I want to know what makes a team a 5-star compared to a 4-star. Because I look at this Bengals offensive, fantasy options and everything between Joe, Jamar, T, Chase, Gesicki. We're going to add in there, too. How is that group not 5 stars? I mean, you look at the number. Chase Brown was the 7th highest fantasy scoring running back from last season. Jamar Chase, the 4th highest receiver. T. Higgins was 15th highest. What am I missing here, Jacob? Why are the Bengals not higher?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing we've seen with a lot of these lists where these national analysts are not comfortable with Joe Burrow's health. That's the only thing I can come back to, is that there has to be a level of expectation here from people outside of Cincinnati that he will not play 17 games. And I think if you're ranking the Bengals offense with, say, 10 games of Joe Burrow and 7 games of Joe Flacco, it does drastically change things, though I do think they're still in the top 10 and probably one of the only teams with that injury risk to the quarterback that stays in the top 10 when you consider that. So that's the only justification I can think of to have them at 9 and certainly outside of tier 1. Because when you look through here, certainly Joe Burrow, when he's healthy, is one of, if not the best fantasy quarterbacks. We saw that come to fruition in 2024. What Jamar Chase has done when he's been on the field has been the best fantasy wide receiver since he's gotten here. And Chase Brown has certainly closed the gap between him and the other top fantasy running backs in the league. So I don't understand how you have them that low unless you are incorporating X number of Joe Flacco games.
So if we're going to do that and just assume Burrow's going to miss time, how are the Cowboys as high as they are with the amount that Prescott has missed?
Yeah, and I think Chase Brown's better than Javonte. I think their receivers probably have a slight nudge in terms of fantasy production, but then quarterback to Cincinnati. So, yeah, I don't understand the gap there really more than anything.
Yeah. Look, to me, you could realistically have the number 1 fantasy wide receiver, the number 1 fantasy quarterback, in a top 5 fantasy running back on this roster. Mm-hmm. And so to have them 9th, it is a stretch. And it doesn't mean that it won't happen. I think they'll probably be around 9th if Joe Flacco was the quarterback. Because Joe Flacco was productive last year. They're so good on offense. I thought Jake Browning was going to be productive from a fantasy standpoint last year. I love fantasy football. It's something we're going to talk about when the time comes here on this show regularly because, one, it's such a big part of what you guys want, but two, it's a lot of fun. And the Bengals are a lot of fun to have in fantasy. And you're right. Guys like George Pickens last year was awesome. But guess who else is awesome? Chase Brown. Regardless of the quarterback, went out there, produced a ton, was super hot down the stretch last year, finished the 2024 season really strong as well. Joe Burrow's going to put up numbers. Jamar Chase is going to put up numbers. And I think T. Higgins, the fun part about T. Higgins over the past couple of years from a fantasy standpoint, 21 touchdowns. He scores a bunch of touchdowns. And so even with the health and all those things, when he's in there, he's going to produce for you, and he's shown that. So, yeah, I think 9 is a bit low. I understand why they're not number 1. I also don't think the Lions are necessarily number 1 because I think it's 2 guys. Mm-hmm. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is awesome to have, and I had him in fantasy leagues last year. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I wish I did, and I wasn't able to get him in any fantasy leagues. And so that's it. I mean, those are the 2 guys. Now, are they awesome? They are. I think Jared Goff is fine. But the Bengals certainly have the edge at quarterback. I think they have the edge at wide receiver, too, over Jamison Williams, who's fun. And so it is interesting to see the Lions number 1. I'm not sure I would go that route, even if Jared Goff does get overlooked fantasy-wise.
Looking at the top 160 rankings for fantasy for all players on ESPN's website right now, I don't understand their own rankings. There are 2 teams with 2 players in the top 15, the Bengals and the Lions. How are those not your top 2 offenses?
Exactly.
And that's got to be Gibbs and St. Brown.
It's Gibbs and Amon-Ra. They're in the top 10,
Yep.
so I understand the sentiment there at least. Chase Brown is their 15th overall player.
And where's Jamar?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you think Chase Brown is going to be the 15th overall fantasy player in the league this year, then I really don't understand this justification. Because T. Higgins, I understand that there's an injury concern for him as well in terms of how many games will he play through a full season. But if he clears 12 or 13 games, he's on the doorstep of 1,000 yards, if not over it. Certainly a touchdown threat and has great production as he has throughout his career when he's been on the field. So I think the Bengals certainly have the best or second best wide receiver duo of any of those lists. If Joe Burrow's healthy, he's the best quarterback. And ESPN is acquiescing the argument I thought I was going to have to make about Chase Brown. So I don't understand how they're ranked 9th.
Yeah, and if Joe Burrow plays a full season, we saw in 2024, he was the 3rd highest scoring quarterback. So, I mean, yeah, exactly. You have the potential to have top 5 at multiple positions.
And 2 top 15 or top 10 receivers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. In T. Higgins, back-to-back years, double-digit touchdowns. I think at this stage of his career, just how consistent he is in those jump ball situations makes sense. And then I will bring up your guy. Like, Mike Gesicki's going to matter. Like, Andrei Iosivas is going to matter. Matter in a sense that whoever's playing quarterback is going to have options. Guys to throw to, put up numbers. So if you're in one of these really deep leagues where you can't get a bunch of quarterbacks, guess what? Draft Joe Flacco late or add Joe Flacco on the waivers or whatever behind Burrow, and then you should be good. You should be able to start one or the other, and you do that. You do the handcuff element of it. With running backs a lot of fantasy footballers out there do that. I would do it in a really deep league.
Gotta have the bench spots.
Well, yeah. Well, I just mean like deep league from a sense that like if Burrow got hurt last year and you were like, what am I going to do at quarterback? Well, yeah, then maybe it's probably wise to have Joe Flacco because I do think he'll be productive. But yeah, this offense, regardless, should produce, and it starts with Jamar. And if Jamar gets nicked up, then T's just going to have bigger numbers. And these guys behind him, Mike Gesicki and Andrei Iosivas, the offense isn't going to stop. And so that's one part of it. The other part, and this isn't necessarily as fantasy takey, is this offense does need to take another step. And I'm curious to see how that happens, how that transpires. Is that Eric Hall? Is that Jack Andrews out of nowhere? Is that Colby Young becoming a deep threat in another option, or just Andre taking a step, or whoever? I do wonder who that's going to be. We'll start to find out when training camp opens in 3 weeks. But that's a fun element, I think, because there is going to be someone that emerges. And a few years ago, we thought it would be Jermaine Burton. It's not. Last year, it was weird because of the quarterback injuries. Someone's going to surprise in camp and be a factor on offense for sure.
Yeah, and if it's a new emergence, not that Chase Brown wouldn't be, already established, but entering national conversations and top 10 running back lists and things like that, if it's a new player entering these national conversations, I think the rankings for any Bengals offense are going out the window because everyone knows Joe and Jamar and T. I think if Mike Gesicki establishes himself as one of the top receiving tight ends in the league, which we thought he was in this offense, certainly they got him an extension after his first season here, and then Chase Brown can get in those conversations for top 10 running backs as well. I think this Bengals offense will be ranked 1 next year as the familiarity of this unit continues to grow. If other people can take steps to match Jamar, T, and Joe Burrow just on the national level of notoriety.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to cover this and see exactly how good, the offense for the Bengals can be this season. Obviously, there's a huge fantasy football element to it. We're going to continue the conversation when it comes to the offense. Chase Brown. What's his ceiling and how do NFL executives view him? We'll dive into Chase next, right here on First Word.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Metcalf with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can't score. What a protection. Elly De La Cruz scores and the Reds win.
You put me in this position, and I'm going to do it because I need to do it. It's Patrick Mahomes is better than Joe Burrow because he's proven it for far more years. He's done more. His ceiling is higher. And you look at it, he's played at least 14 games every year he started. After that rookie year where he sat behind Alex Smith and learned behind him and he started that one game, since then it's 14 plus. So he's been durable. And that's what's tough. His numbers have dipped over the past few years. And do I think in a vacuum Joe Burrow could be the better quarterback? Absolutely. He's got to prove it. Doesn't have the rings, doesn't have the MVPs, and hasn't had the durability. Would it be different if he was in Kansas City and Mahomes was here? Probably, but it's not. This is it. And I think Joe would probably admit that too. He has to prove it this year. And do I think that on the surface he can be the number one quarterback on the planet where this isn't debatable next year? Absolutely. Can I hold Patrick Mahomes coming back from an ACL when Joe Burrow's had all these other injuries? I'm not going to hold that against him. I think his weapons have been far worse over the past couple of years. Yes, he has Andy Reid. He has a more stable franchise. There's no doubt. They've been more consistent, and we're consistent going into the Mahomes era. It would have been like if the Bengals drafted Joe in 2016, coming off of that 2015 run, and that roster was about to hit its prime, and then Joe takes over. It would have been a bit different. The way he inherited it, Mahomes did from Alex Smith. So I get that. Joe has the ability, and I believe he can be the best player on the planet. And I believe Zach Taylor when he says, there's no one else I would rather have than Joe Burrow. But when I look at their resumes, one is Patrick Mahomes' resume. One has been more durable. One has won more. One has more accolades. And then the other is Joe Burrow. And I can't run from that, even though I do think that in a vacuum, Joe could be better than Patrick Mahomes this season.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone, and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Is Chase Brown a top 10 running back in the NFL? Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Marisa Contipelli and Jacob Tissot. We are your morning sports show, Cincinnati. And Chase Brown has been productive. Back-to-back years now with 1,300 plus yards from scrimmage and 1,400 plus yards from scrimmage has been a force and a key piece of this Bengals offense. And ESPN is going through ranking season, of course, and that makes sense. It is ranking season throughout the NFL with training camp just a few weeks away. And Chase Brown nowhere to be found in their top 10 rankings, courtesy of Jeremy Fowler. He polled executives, coaches across the league that voted for the top 10 running backs. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor are the top 5. Derrick Henry, 6th, followed by James Cook, Devin Achane, Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, and Breece Hall. Is this too low? Should Chase Brown be on this list?
I'd like to think so. And after this year, I think he probably will be if the production can take another step and he can continue to grow as an NFL running back. I don't know how many arguments I can make right now for him to be on this list. I think the top 5 or so running backs in the league are pretty much locked in terms of that list from what they've done so far in their careers. And then Chase Brown certainly has an argument over the last 2 there, most notably in my mind, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. But Kenneth Walker just won a Super Bowl MVP, and Breece Hall had over 1,300 total yards last year as well. So I absolutely think he's in that mix. I was more shocked that he wasn't mentioned in the honorable mentions after being outside of the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. I think it would have been tough for him to have been mentioned in the top 10, just given the fact that he was 17th in the league last year in just rushing yards alone. Of course, he was 11th overall amongst all players in scrimmage yards with his 1456 from last season. But the honorable mention part is the part that really gets me. When you look at the list of honorable mention, you got Josh Jacobs, Kyren Williams, and then Quinshon Judkins from the Browns. Now, just looking at the numbers, Judkins had 827 rushing yards and didn't even break the 1,000 yardage for scrimmage yards on the season. How are his numbers better than Chase Brown's? I mean, I get it, he's playing on the Browns, but no reason he should have been on there over Chase.
It's not close. No. It's not close. Like, you're right. Quinshon Judkins has no business being on this list or being. He should be allowed to read it because we're all allowed to read it, but that's as close as he should get to it. There we go. Like, I think that's it. Do we agree? Allowed to read,
yes.
And then that's it. And then look away and go.
He's not even the best Ohio State second-year running back in the NFL.
No. Who?
Trey.
You think so? Yeah. Trey was bad last year.
He was, but this is not off of last year's production. If you're ranking off of last year's production.
Trey made it with Chase. As a receiving votes.
That's what I mean. In terms of Quinshon Judkins' ranking here, the production makes no sense for him to be on this list. So you have to be buying stock or projecting into the future to have him as an honorable mention on this list. It's the only way it makes sense. And if you're doing that, then Eileen Henderson over Judkins if you're going for the Ohio State backs from last year. So I really can't understand why he'd be on there. The other two, I guess Josh Jacobs, certainly the body of work in this league has been phenomenal, and he is an incredibly productive back up in Green Bay. Kyren Williams, certainly the same area of debate for Chase Brown. I would take Chase Brown over Kyren Williams.
Would you? I think for this offense, I would. I think Kyren Williams is a better runner.
Okay.
I think Chase Brown, which is so funny because this is Chase Brown, the 328 carries at Illinois, not known for his receiving ability. But he's such a better pass catcher than he's been, and I don't think Kyren Williams is that Rams offense. He's not nearly as productive in the passing game, and I don't think that's an accident. I think that Chase Brown has developed that part of his game, deserves a ton of credit there, and maybe he has more as a runner, and we'll get to show that this year. We'll see with this revamped Bengals offensive line, all 5 starters coming back healthy. You have Joe Burrow. Maybe he does post better rushing numbers overall, just with more opportunities, maybe salting away leads or salting away games with the lead. That's what the Rams had. They had a guy in Kyren Williams who could do that. He ran for over 1,200 yards last year. And so I think he's a better runner, but they are comparable, similar size. And like what the scout or one of the coordinators said about Kyren Williams, really underrated, productive, tough as bleep, runs hard, brings the juice, has improved as a pass catcher and really good in protection. Just doesn't have the high-end traits as some of the others. I get that, and I'm not sure we're ever going to say Chase Brown has those high-end traits. I think he does have a high-end speed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the fastest players on this Bengals offense,
Yes.
and one of the fastest players in the league on GPS tracking speed for ball carriers over the last few years. I think something that really jumped off for me when looking at Chase Brown is the split last year. Even though it was incredibly productive, 1,000 rushing yards, over 400 receiving yards, one of the best seasons of his young career, the split from the first few weeks to the last 11. The last 11 weeks last year, Chase Brown was a different running back. From week 7 to week 18 last season, Chase Brown averaged 5.2 yards per carry out of this Bengals backfield. That is tied second in the NFL with James Cook and Derrick Henry behind Devon Achane. Now, I am sure I could find 11-game stretches for some of those other backs that maybe help them out a little bit, but that's a huge chunk of a 17-game season. 11 games, and Chase Brown was one of the best running backs in the league. And I think we've all already said that he's taken a step receiving that's ahead of a lot of the guys on this list. Certainly from a pure runner perspective, maybe not, but through the last 11 games of last year, he was as effective as any running back in the league when the Bengals had the offensive line they have going into this year, when their quarterback situation started to smooth out a little bit. And that's why I'm so confident in Chase Brown this year taking another step, because I feel like we saw it last year and it just wasn't reflected in the numbers at the end of the season because of those first 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think if he does that, if he's in the 4.7, 4.8 range and then gets to, and we played over-under with Chase Brown earlier this week, make sure you check it out on YouTube. Let's say he rushes for 1,250 yards like Kyron Williams. He will be on this list. And he's going to be 1,500 plus yards from scrimmage if he does that, because the pass catching will be there. And like, what is his ceiling? Like, if he hits his ceiling this year production wise, what's his ceiling on this list? Is it 8? Is it 6? Is it 5? Because I think that's what's interesting is like looking forward. Like, I'm not shocked that he didn't make the top 10. It's not shocking to me. But I look at it, Derrick Henry's older. And I could totally see Derrick Henry falling off at some point here soon. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP, but it's not like he's not a lock to be there next year, put it that way. Breece Hall's had some injuries. Devon Achane, I think, could stay for sure. Christian McCaffrey is getting up there age-wise. Saquon Barkley, same thing. Like, half of this list is past their, like, I think Barkley's best year's behind him. McCaffrey, best year behind him. Henry, best year behind him. So at least 3 of those guys.
Taylor?
Maybe. The answer is it's not a foregone conclusion that that's not the case. Now, he might be smack dab in the middle of his prime. But realistically, if Chase Brown has a 1,500-plus yards from scrimmage season, where could he be on this list realistically next year?
I look at James Cook sitting there at number 7, who led the league in rushing with over 1,600 yards and had the career year. And he's only at 7, and his lowest rank was 10. Some people are ranking him 10th. So I look at that, I'm like, I don't think Chase Brown is going to eclipse those numbers just because they're not going to run the ball as much in Cincinnati as they were up in Buffalo. So I have a hard time putting him above James Cook.
Help, so they run it
That's
a lot
right.
more.
Yeah, I don't know what the ceiling is exactly for that reason. I don't think there's any way he can get in that top row of the top 5 running backs in the league. I think Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon, McCaffrey, and Jonathan Taylor have those 5 spots locked in probably until one of those 5 decides they want to stop playing football.
You think so? I think that one of those at least one will be out of the top 5 next year.
Really? In my mind, it has to be Taylor then.
McCaffrey.
Then it would have to be injury.
Well, sure. He's 30 plus, and he had 400.
I don't think his production's going to
400 touches last year.
I know. But that's part of why I think he should be still up that
He's
high.
awesome. He should be.
Yeah.
Someone had him unranked, and that person punt them far. Ryan Rico, punt him.
That's what So Chase Brown does 1,200 rushing yards, 500 receiving yards this year. It's a career year bigger than anyone's wildest dreams for Chase Brown this year. Someone had Christian McCaffrey unranked.
Yeah. So where do you have him? 8?
I'd have him 8.
Like he can get to 8?
He can get to 8, which is where I'd have him essentially.
Do you agree with like 8? James Cook was 7. To your
around
point.
Around that point. Because also, like, until one of those top guys shows he's going to fall off, to Jacob's point, I just don't see them lowering down in the list. I mean, even a Derrick Henry, who's past his prime, is still producing at such a high level.
How many of these are career achievement awards too? Like, how bad does Henry have to be to fall out of the top 10 list of running backs?
I need to look at his number.
But I think a lot of it will be, even if he is worse statistically, what he's done before in the
he ran
past.
for 1,500 yards.
That's what I mean. He's not really close to that.
No.
So what does he have to do?
Gosh, he's been so good.
You can't got to tell me.
He's been so. Baltimore has given him new life.
Yes.
If Trey has the same Baltimore run, oh my gosh.
Don't put that in.
I'm just saying. I mean, he ran the ball 307 times last year, 1,595 yards. You might be right. Derrick Henry may be too low.
It's too low. That was my first thought when this list popped out. I think Derrick Henry's too low.
I didn't think that because I just think, man, he's old, but man, he's still so good.
He's the best
Also,
all-levels running back
Who
of all
calls
time.
him Tractor Cito?
Everyone.
Really?
Everyone.
I don't call him
As
that.
soon as the calendar flips to November, it's Tractor Cito season.
Do you call him that? Have you heard
I've heard
that?
it before, but
I've never heard that.
Oh,
King Henry.
It's on my calendar. Tractor Cito. Now it stinks that he's in Baltimore.
Tractors. Did you leave it on the calendar during the
No.
divisional round?
Took it
when
off.
he averaged 3.6 a carry and Mike Hilton was tackling him, huh? And I said tripping and Mike got mad at me. It was one of my favorite moments of that playoff run. I asked all of that about where you think he'll be if he has a huge year, because if you're the Bengals, you're weighing that contract-wise.
Yes.
Because if he has a chance to, like DJ Turner could be a top 5 corner. We'll dive into it tomorrow about where he ranks, if he ranks, all those things. Could be a top 5 corner in the league this year. And that means he's going to get $27 million or more, $30 million per year. What's Chase Brown's ceiling on a payday? And what does that compare to what you have to pay him now to get an extension done? Like, I think that's a real factor when it comes to, hey, are we going to pay Chase? Are we not going to pay Chase? If it's one of these honorable mention type contracts.
Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, same contract essentially.
Well, or also receiving votes. Is it Javonte Williams? $8 million per. I don't think that gets it done.
No.
But if he's Javonte Williams, if he's in that territory, well, then there's a ceiling to it. But if you think best case he's going to be Kyron Williams and you're paying him 11, but he's not willing to take less than 10 right now, well, then is there really risk in waiting? That's what I mean. So I think that's the juggle there. How much are you saving if you get ahead of it with Chase? Maybe it is a lot, but that's something you have to weigh when you go to pay any player is, all right, what's the risk in making him play it out and do it again and prove himself again and establish himself as a top 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 running back, especially if he wants that kind of money?
10 to about 12.5 in my mind is what the range is for a Chase Brown contract.
Like max?
Essentially.
If he hits free agency, he's getting 12.5?
That's my guess, just by looking at the breakdown here. $12.5 million contract would slap him right above Josh Jacobs, who's making $12 million a year, a little bit above, right there with Alvin Kamara, who's obviously on the back end of that contract, but was a great player when he signed it, absolutely. But still a tier below the $14 million group of Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker coming off a Super Bowl MVP, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry. Now, I guess the concern would be that Breece Hall contract because the production is incredibly similar. But I feel like he means more to the Jets offense than Chase Brown does here.
Yeah.
So they're willing to potentially pay him a little bit more.
I think Breece Hall is better than Chase Brown.
I don't think that's crazy to say.
Like, there was a part of me, the Jets just paid him.
Yeah.
But had he gotten to free agency and not been tagged, there was a part of me that was like, if you plan on extending Chase, Breece Hall is a freak.
Now, would you rather have Breece Hall at 14.5 or Chase at even 12, 10?
And that's it, right? Like, just Chase because you have him. He's here. Fair. So why mess with it? The Kenneth Walker contract, by the way, it's a 2-year deal.
Exactly.
It's 2 years, $28 million, and then they can get out of it unless he's awesome. And so that's the point. Making Chase Brown play it out might be the play here. And if you make him play it out, even if he's super productive, well, guess what? You're offering him, a 3-year contract with 2 years of essentially guaranteed money or 2 years of assurance that he's going to be here with that third year kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a good way to think about it. I think one thing that's always in the front of my mind when talking about a Chase Brown contract extension is those carries at Illinois. I think he's essentially operating with a year and a half or 2 years more of tread on those tires than a lot of guys at this point in their NFL career. So he's certainly maintained it so far through this time, but any kind of long-term extension, that amount of carries at Illinois does scare me a little bit.
I remember asking Justin Hill about the number of carries on draft day. 5th round pick. Hey, it was Brian Callahan was the OC at the time. Hey, Brian, is it good that he's touched the ball that many times? And it was a whole discussion of whether or not it was good. Obviously, it's worked out. Chase Brown's awesome. He's going to make a lot of money, and if he plays well this year, he'll be on this list next season. Up next, it's party time at GABP, and Jacob's going. We'll dive into that, and we'll discuss actual baseball on First Word.
Cincinnati, Ohio. We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick had with the fan favorite to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can't score. What a percentage. De La Cruz scores and the Reds
You put me in this position, and I'm going to do it because I need to do it. It's Patrick Mahomes is better than Joe Burrow because he's proven it for far more years. He's done more. His ceiling is higher. And you look at it, he's played at least 14 games every year he started. After that rookie year where he sat behind Alex Smith and learned behind him and he started that one game, since then it's 14 plus. So he's been durable. And that's what's tough. Like, yeah, his numbers have dipped over the past few years. And do I think in a vacuum Joe Burrow could be the better quarterback? Absolutely. He's got to prove it. Doesn't have the rings, doesn't have the MVPs, and hasn't had the durability. Would it be different if he was in Kansas City and Mahomes was here? Probably, but it's not. This is it. And I think Joe would probably admit that too. Like, he has to prove it this year. And do I think that on the surface he can be the number one quarterback on the planet where this isn't debatable next year? Absolutely. Can I hold Patrick Mahomes coming back from an ACL when Joe Burrow's had all these other injuries? I'm not going to hold that against him. I think his weapons have been far worse over the past couple of years. Yes, he has Andy Reid. He has a more stable franchise. There's no doubt. They've been more consistent, and we're consistent going into the Mahomes era. It would have been like if the Bengals drafted Joe in 2016, coming off of that 2015 run, and that roster was about to hit its prime, and then Joe takes over. It would have been a bit different. The way he inherited it, Mahomes did from Alex Smith. So I get that. Joe has the ability, and I believe he can be the best player on the planet. And I believe Zach Taylor when he says, there's no one else I would rather have than Joe Burrow. But when I look at their resumes, one is Patrick Mahomes' resume. One has been more durable. One has won more. One has more accolades. And then the other is Joe Burrow. And I can't run from that, even though I do think that in a vacuum, Joe could be better than Patrick Mahomes this season.
Cincinnati, home to more than a dozen Fortune 500 companies. A city where you know someone who knows someone, and you're in business. Every weekday at noon, The Working Lunch brings you headlines from local businesses, along with exclusive interviews with owners and local leaders. East Side, West Side, northern suburbs, downtown over the Rhine, and northern Kentucky. Real conversations, real Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley. Weekdays at noon, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
It's party time at GABP, and it has nothing to do with what they're doing in baseball. John Party tonight. How excited are you?
Really excited.
Yeah?
I've seen him a few times.
How awesome is it?
I really like it. It's a great.
Are you going to be on the field?
No.
Did you get like that hookup?
I haven't yet.
You're hoping.
Working on it.
We're working
it's
on those
percolating.
strings.
Also, I've made it down there before for these post-game concerts without necessarily the correct routes. /badging.
Just gonna stop you right
so
there.
it's possible.
Yeah, no, I was just
They
curious.
welcome people down if it's not full around the infield.
Well, yeah, it's got to be full.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's
because it just
weird.
looks horrible.
It's ridiculous. They're like, hey, let's let this bearded guy
So
down.
you move down to the third baseline where they open it up, and then if it doesn't fill up, they pull
so
people from the
I was
aisle.
worried you were going to go out yourself at some back doorway or
You sit
get
on
down
the
there
aisle,
or
they'll
something
pull you
like
down. You're
that.
like, cut off his mic. Stop.
Protect Jacob.
Welcome back to First Word. He's Jacob Tissot, Marisa Contipelli. I'm James Rapien. John, party tonight. Will that be the bright spot of tonight for the Cincinnati Reds, or will it be Chase Burns? He's got to go up against Kyle Schwarber.
That's fair.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see that.
I am too. Really, there's a couple at bats. Anytime Chase Burns gets to go up against MVP caliber bats, I'm really excited for it because his stuff plays against these guys.
No doubt.
He's one of the best sliders in the league. He has a fastball approaching 100. Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, who's not Trey Turner anymore, but still some big time names, big time contracts that he'll be able to face. I'm excited, and a lot of people will be watching this game, so hopefully he can have a good performance.
7-10 first pitch tonight. The Reds lost yesterday 4-1. They're 41-49 on the season. They've really started to, just show who they are. That run differential -63. They're 3-7 in their last 10. This Phillies team, 51-41 overall. That run differential getting a little better. Do we know starter-wise? I don't think so. They still haven't named a starter. Interesting storyline going into this one. I don't know if it matters with the Reds striking out 18 of 27 outs yesterday. But it could matter, especially with this Reds offense needing to get on track at least a little bit.
Well, I think the big thing is who we know it isn't, and it's not Zach Wheeler. He pitched last night.
Right.
Well,
unless.
He's like, against them?
Do it again.
14 strikeouts? I got 14 more in me. No, all right, go. Go, Marisa.
I just wanted to talk more about Chase Burns because
No,
for me,
talk
that's
more
the
about
exciting
it.
part.
Twist my arm to talk Chase Burns.
Yeah. This side of the desk loves to talk about Chase Burns.
I'm not anti-Chase Burns.
You
Do
are.
not do that.
You finally crowned him an ace.
You're certainly the biggest Chase Burns hater at this desk.
I'm not a hater.
At the desk?
I'm a realist. He didn't.
Every time I'm a realist, you call me a hater.
No way. No way. Oh, you're not a realist with Chase Burns. He crowned Chase Burns an ace April 15th. He turned his taxes in and he said Chase Burns is an ace and he crowned
I
him.
think he did that before turning his taxes in.
I was right then and I'm right now.
Yeah, you can't do it during spring training. What were his spring training numbers?
I don't know.
Don't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
Didn't matter because he's an ace.
They don't matter, but he has been an ace, and he's going to get tested tonight. And I am excited for that test. Andrew App was good yesterday. The bats didn't show up. Hopefully Chase Burns, the thing that I do want to mention, the home run thing is a real thing. Hopefully he doesn't give up that one home run because it really could be the difference, even though we don't know who's starting for the Phillies.
Yeah, and despite, he has a trend of he's given up a home run now in 3 consecutive starts, but you just look at the overall body of work. The Reds are 13-4 on the season when he is on the mound, and he's won his last 9 starts, becoming the first Reds pitcher since 1985 to win 9 or more consecutive starts in a single season, and leading the majors with those 15 starts of 2 runs or fewer given up. He has just been so consistent. He also became the 7th Reds pitcher in club history with 10 or more wins and 100 or more strikeouts before the All-Star break, joining Johnny Cueto in 2014. So numbers-wise, the body of work is there. It's why he's been chosen as an All-Star. We'll be curious to see when he's going to be pitching in that All-Star game. Excited for when that happens, but very excited for tonight for him to go up against some bats that are all-stars like a Kyle Schwarber, and just a lineup that is going to be a challenge for him. But Chase has shown that he can more than hold his own in these situations. And yeah, just really excited to see just kind of how he stacks up and lines up against him.
Absolutely. I think the concern after last night, at least going into tonight, is that the one home run Chase Burns has allowed over the last few starts has always been to the team's best player. It was Ben Rice, then it was Juan Soto, then it was Lau in Pittsburgh, and Ryan O'Hearn the second time. So the worry here tonight was that it would be our guy again, Kyle Schwarber, potentially hitting the home run. But Chase Burns has also showed plenty of times that he can get right back on the horse after that long ball and get a great start for this Reds team, and also just avoid it entirely. So whichever way he goes tonight, utmost confidence in Chase Burns, and that's always the greatest thing about once every 5 days, is to actually have confidence and a belief in this team before the game starts, because you know you're going to have 5, 6, maybe 7 innings of winnable baseball.
He's bringing in the 4th best miss rate among pitchers, and really excited. Hopefully that number goes up a little bit after tonight.
Yeah, certainly hope it does, and goodness, hopefully they score more than 1 run. I think that's the other element here that is just, it's so tough because you mentioned it. They've won 15 of their 21 wins since May 1st, and they've only won 21 games since May 1st, or with Abbott or Chase Brown on the mound, or Chase Burns on the mound, excuse me. A lot of Chases to cover.
Dual threat over here.
Chase Brown may be able to hit like 5th for the Reds right now. Like, I wouldn't rule it out. We're sure he can't hit better than Matt McClain.
Cover ground and center.
Just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Give it a go.
But you can't waste Andrew Abbott, Chase Burns. Clearly, that's it. They wasted Abbott yesterday. These bats have to find a way, regardless of who's on the mound. And I do think that it's weird. Maybe the Reds know. I haven't seen anything, though.
I've looked everywhere I know to look, and it's not listed.
Yeah. So how big? You're still rolling out the same lineup. Regardless, I would say at this point, for the most part, you need to find a way. We talked about J.J. Bleday yesterday. It's been a struggle. Eugenio Suarez, game on the line, struck out in a really awful at-bat. Like, these bats have to find a way to get going.
Absolutely, and you hope it's against the Phillies, because if it's not against the Phillies, you get the Cubs coming up. And this Reds team has struggled immensely against the division. At some point, they're going to have to turn that around. And competing for a National League Central title in 2026 has left my brain already in July, which is a shame. But there's something about just being competitive against your division, not chalking up the teams you play the most often as automatic losses on the series front, that will really help this team build, not just for this year and hopefully competing for a wild card, but build for the future as well, with a group up here that is supposed to be the core of this team when they are competing, hopefully sometime soon. So getting hot in these next 2 games against the Phillies before the Cubs come to town, before the All-Star break, would be a great sign for this team before a break that they really need at this point.
Yeah, they do. And the other part of it, got to win at home. They're 20 and 25 at home on the season, 21 and 24 on the road. You got to, take advantage of when you're playing at Great American Ballpark, which is a hitter-friendly park, and carve out a couple of wins here before All-Star break.
Yeah, we'll see if they do. I have a theory that they have no idea about. I'm going to run it by you next, right here on First Word.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is the Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Vacation edition, the lounge edition of Countdown.
I'm getting a good stretch.
Yeah, there we go. You need it, man.
I know.
You are not the most malleable.
That's better than the other options you could have went with.
Yeah, probably. I was trying to figure out a good one. All right, let's dive into it. From basketball. We're going to stick with basketball.
This one's yours.
This is my favorite
Unbelievable.
thing ever. Shaquille O'Neal trying to test his reaction time. Oh. This is
I mean, it's just not even close,
Shaq. My man, what are you
Yay!
Play it again, Gabe. Hold on. Let that run for a minute, because this is my favorite thing.
Man.
He's so dialed. And look.
The best is number
this one.
Whatever, like 7 or 8, where he doesn't even look.
Oh gosh. Oh man. I'm gonna get you. Man. I'm gonna get you.
No. This one. And he doesn't even turn.
He didn't even see it.
This is the best, or one of the best centers of all time. No reaction time.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the offseason covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
First word rolls on. Welcome back to First Word. I'm James Rapien alongside Jacob Tissot and Marisa Contipelli. I mentioned I had a theory, and I have a theory. And Marisa Contipelli, well, you don't know the theory, but first it starts with an on this date 16 years ago today. The Dwayne Wade fan in me celebrated with a little chalk toss with LeBron James and his decision.
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
Why?
Like I said before, I feel like it's going to give me the best opportunity to win and to win for multiple years. And not only just to win in the regular season or just to win 5 games in a row or 3 games in a row. I want to be able to win championships, and I feel like I can compete down there.
Was it always in your plan to go and play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh?
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. To say it was always in my plans, I can't say it was always in my plans because I never thought it was possible. But the things that the Miami Heat franchise have done to be able to free up cap space and to be able to put themselves in a position this summer to have all 3 of us, it was hard to turn down. I mean, those are 2 great players, 2 of the greatest players that we have in this game today. And, you add me, we're going to be a really good team.
So by design, that's torturing Marisa. 16 years ago today, LeBron James left Cleveland, went to Miami, won 2 titles, went to 4 straight finals.
What did I do to you today?
But I said I had a theory. Gabe, didn't I say I had a theory? I have a theory.
I'm waiting for the theory.
And here's the theory. And this is where she's going to be smiling. The reason LeBron has waited until July 8th is because maybe, just maybe, he's going to rectify the decision with a new decision and come full circle and announce his return to Cleveland on the anniversary of the decision.
Could absolutely see it.
That'd be great.
I processed this theory about 10 minutes ago. It got in my mind, and I'm like, oh, it's exactly what's going to happen. That's why he's waiting. That's when it's been weird. That's why all the limbo stuff, and he hasn't said anything, and no one's heard anything. We'll see if it comes true. I think it's going to come. I've just convinced myself, like, that's what's going to happen. That's why he's waiting, because this is like the one blemish, and it's not even a blemish, and it's ridiculous that it was, but it's the one thing that people bring up. And so what better way to do it than this? Hey, Cleveland, I'm back.
I hope you're right, but it's almost 11 o'clock. If he was going to announce it today, why not do it in the morning? So it takes up the rest of the day, and this isn't even a reminder
He was watching
of it.
First Word, so he's going to wait till we're done, and then he'll put it out there.
do it while we're on the show. Maybe
That would be great. That would be great.
Also, he's probably West Coasting it this week. I know he's with Draymond.
Yeah.
He's up. Like.
Well, sure, but why?
I loved that Shams reported that Draymond and LeBron are hanging out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Two grown men grabbing a beer.
For sure, but like, he's never announced anything in the morning. I don't think. Like even the Sports Illustrated article. I remember where I was. It was around lunchtime. Yeah. So, I mean.
I'm not optimistic that
I have a theory.
it gets announced today.
That'd be the second best decision he ever made. Behind that one.
Behind the decision. I don't know if it would be second, but it would certainly be a decision. Regardless, there's the theory. We're going to make our predictions for Reds Phillies right now. And man, oh man. Kyle Schwarber, we've talked there a ton, talked about him and how he should be a Red and all of those things. Well, the bottom line is he's not. Chase Burns is. This is a big game for the Reds. If they're going to get a game in this series, this feels like the one.
I am always confident in Chase Burns, and we talked about it last segment. His numbers, his body of work for the season, the Reds have won his last 9 outings. He's just been so solid on the mound, so I'm not betting against Chase Burns. I'm taking Chase Burns and a Reds dub today.
Yeah, the last time Chase Burns had a decision that was a loss was April 5th. It's been quite some time since he's come off the mound without the Reds having at least a chance to win the game, if not the lead. So, utmost confidence that he can get this Reds team a win. I'm not going to pick him on Chase Burns night. When can you pick him? I'll pick the Reds.
Oh, make it a clean sweep.
What did she say last Thursday?
Oh, gosh.
No.
What did I say last Thursday?
No, don't.
What did she say?
Don't do it.
I'm going to do it.
Don't do it.
What did she say?
She said Miz was due.
Say it again.
Oh, that was last
Please
Thursday.
don't.
Mizorowski was due. What happened?
Yeah, that happened.
He was due.
Burns had that recently. He gave up five earned runs to Pittsburgh, even though they won that
He
game.
got rocked in Pittsburgh.
It's already happened.
It was raining. I gave him a pass.
And he gets the pass. It's not raining right now. And maybe it rains later.
No. It's not going to. No.
I feel like, yeah. What do you mean? April 5th, where was that game at? It was on the road,
At
right?
Texas.
Wrong one. April 10th. It was here.
Okay. Home, 2 months later, could totally see it. I hope I'm wrong. I want to see them. Nothing's better than the Reds being relevant, but they're so irrelevant that I'm just trying to be real here. I don't think the bats show up either.
What is due for him? I guess that's a question. 5 runs?
Like Miz, 4 or 5. Okay. Yeah. He's not going to give up 8 runs.
I was saying, like, is that like 3 or 4? Get by with a pretty decent start and still call it due because he's been so good this year, maybe?
15 starts of 2 runs or less given up.
If he gives up 4 runs tonight, that would count. Like 5 innings, 4 runs. Like that's.
I think there's a world where he could do that, much like the Pittsburgh start, and the Reds are still in this game somehow. So
because they don't have a starter in Philly right now. What are they bullpenning?
They could.
Yeah, that's got to be it.
They've moved a lot of pieces around to have pitchers eligible for the All-Star game because Jesus Luzardo, who's pitching tomorrow for the Phillies, couldn't pitch today. He would then have to pitch before the All-Star game again. He wouldn't be eligible for the All-Star game. So when he was added as a replacement, they moved him around a little bit. Now today's in limbo.
So now I have another theory. The Phillies are like, we need to worry about the All-Star game and get our starters.
It's only the 3rd time this month the team has moved their ace away from the Reds to the next series.
We can handle business against the Reds who have had hit us with that strikeout number again, Marisa.
Oh, did I have to?
I was going to do it, but I don't. You deserve the credit. So
18 strikeouts last night. It is now the 4th game this season with 16 or more strikeouts.
There you go. That's the one.
On pace.
4 games, 16 or more strikeouts.
16 strikeouts is so many strikeouts.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And the 18 yesterday,
it's not,
75%
they've done it 4
of the time.
times this year.
Oh, for sure. But believe in the impossible.
That's right. That's right.
And it is. And so I'll take the under on the 16. I think it's going to be
Wow.
under.
Way to be optimistic, man. Really stick with them.
I'll take the under there. I just think that 4-2, we'll go something like that. Like it feels that way, but we'll see.
4-2 win or loss?
Oh, loss.
Okay.
Chase Burns
same
gives
score.
up 4.
Reds win. Chase Burns only gives up 1.
Okay. And bullpen gives up 1, and that's the thing. All right. We'll see. We'll see there. Let's take a quick look at the World Cup, where it's not nearly as fun, but we're still doing here as our guy Christian Pulisic taking a beating
Glad he didn't rest.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he is, at least he's resting.
Kick your
at least
feet
his
up,
head's
man.
on the pillow. France, Morocco on Thursday. Norway, England Saturday. Argentina, Switzerland Saturday. And Spain, Belgium on Friday. There you go, the quarterfinal right there. I think France is going to continue to roll. By the way, the Nat Jones Show debuts today. New episode. Loretta Blount, UC Hall of Famer. Excited to watch that one. Make sure you check that out on her YouTube channel. That's going to do it for us here on First Word, for the entire First Word crew. Tomorrow, we got a big one. Dan Hort live in studio. Live right here in studio to talk Bearcats. It's been a big week for UC. And to talk Cincinnati Bengals. And we're on LeBron watch. I have a theory. Will it come true? We'll be back with you tomorrow at 7. For Jacob Tissot and Marisa Contipelli, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to First Word.